All right, so here we are. Yeah, I'm just there, just running around just like crazy.
Yeah, a lot on your plate.
Yeah, extreme with my father.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I don't know if I gave you guys a little bit of that information.
Yeah, you had said a little bit about it sounded like he was in a place where maybe they were mistreating him or not treating him well or something, and then somebody went to get him and bring him back.
Yeah, basically, my father lived with us. Hey, Ayana, welcome. My father lived with my husband and me since my mom died in 2013 up until about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I've noticed that cognitively speaking, his mind was getting more muddled. But every time I would take him to a doctor, they would say it's not Alzheimer, it's not dementia, it's age-related memory loss, confusion, etc. Okay, well, that was all right, but I kept, we took care of him so that we could help him with supplements, etc. He's strong physically. Anyways, so when my brothers moved him from here, because that's when I was kind of ill, and my dad was, when they get UTIs, the elderly, it
Oh, yes.
apparently really makes it look like dementia.
Yes, I know a
Yes.
lot about that.
Heard that.
Unfortunately, I had no idea.
Oh man, let me tell you, it was hard. And anyway, so he's like, I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to live on my own. So they put him in an independent care place, which was, pretty decent. They showed that they cared about him and everything. But then my brother, the one that I've told you about that lives here, that had been in prison 5 years, moved even further away here in Georgia. And when he did that, they wanted to move him to a different location. I was like, that's even further than where you already have him, and I hardly ever get to see him. Anyways, this other place, they pretty much only left him in independent care for like a month, and they immediately moved him into what's it called? Assisted living. So not memory care, but assisted living. Because he still has his wits about him, but he's a performer, he's an artist. Don't, he wants to be traveling. He's fidgety, he's got a Virgo moon. So putting him in this little box room isn't gonna cut it. It's not gonna work. It's only gonna make him crazier.
Okay. Mhm.
And sure enough, and so they put him, and I didn't know this. My stupid, cursing inside my head. Brothers did not inform me that they put him on some antipsychotic drug that is contraindicated for the elderly. And I did a lot of research on it. I'm like, no freaking way. Anyways, I kept leaving messages for the director, and he's never returned my calls. And then I had a visitation from the other world from my father's brother. Excuse me. Ok, papi, tomátelo todo, por favor. Ok, gracias. Estoy dando mi clase. Gracias. And, saying he's in a bad place. It wasn't a dream. This was definitely a visitation from the uncle that I did not speak to and died, thanks to the vax. And so I woke up and I was like, I gotta go get him out of there. And I went over there. I took him out. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, the other piece was the reason I found out about the drug was because I called him and, hey, how are you? Because he called like 10 times a day. Please come get me. I'm in bad shape. I don't like it here. There's something, there's something wrong. I need to get out of here. Please, please, please. Like 10 times a day, 10 messages at least a day. So then he says, oh, wait, hold on. The nurse is here to give me my medication. And I'm like, he's never taken medication in his life, not even with the supposed cancer he had. So I said, can you please put her on? oh, I missed giving him his dose this morning, so now I have to double up. And it was the evening. And I was like, what? Excuse me? Yes, I had to double up. I missed it. Literally her words. I said, can you please tell me the name of the medication? And she tells me it was Seroquel. Anyways, so I went 1.5 weeks ago to pick him up, got him out. I've never seen him so depressed, lifeless. This is a man who's strong as an ox, you know, and world traveler on stage. So they had him so drugged down. This is a drug they give prisoners to when they get out of line and they want to control them. And it's contraindicated for the elderly because it causes suicidal thoughts and that they're going to die, and it actually causes death in the elderly. And this is from the medical sites. This is not an alternative thing that my brothers can say, oh, she's just a wacko. No, this is straight out of the drug sites. So long story short, he's been here about a week and a half, driving me insane most days because he's detoxing, and we are sending him to Argentina. My brothers finally agreed, except the youngest brother, the criminal, has decided that he's going to pick a fight with me, and it's been a nightmare between tending to him, dealing with my brothers with whom I do not speak, as you know, especially the youngest one. Organizing with my family in Argentina to send him to my mother's hometown. And it goes on and on. And all of the health issues that I had finally in a year and a half managed to get a grip on and start to feel better. They've been coming back, and I've been going down and down and down and down. So I have no idea where we stand, but I'm on my wit's end. And if this happens, it'll happen within 10 days is the plane fare that I got for it. Not that I didn't get, my brothers are supposed to pay and they haven't done it yet. So I apologize for last week. I'm sure you guys understand. I know you guys probably have your own hands full, but that's where understanding comes from, yeah. And I've missed you. I've missed I love being here with you guys. So it has nothing.
No, it is something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. Thank you for listening.
No problem.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a week.
Yeah. And yesterday I lost my shit. And then Marcus says, you know, it's a full moon. And I'm like, well, that explains it.
In Capricorn.
Yeah, Capricorn Cancer, right across the family, and you know, that whole lineage piece. And oh, okay, that explains it. That explains why.
Oh, he's a good husband. He reminded you.
Yeah, and he's been trying. We've had to hide the car from my father.
Oh, that's no fun.
One thing after another, just one thing after another. So this is
may I ask you one more question about that?
Yeah,
Is there someone, does he have to travel on the plane with a companion?
I wanted him to, but I don't have anyone to do that. So my cousins are going to fly out to the capital from the province, meet him at the airport, help him with everything, get back on the connecting flight, and get him over to the northern Argentina where he's going to be. I really wanted a companion, but I can't. So I'm going to arrange with the airlines, Delta, to please, you know, do the wheelchair.
They have people like that. Yeah, they have people like that. I just was wondering, because I'm like, if Dad is not being himself, maybe he needs to fly with someone who will make sure he gets to where he's supposed to be going, you know, because it's charming and everything else. And it could be like an episode of Catch Me If You Can, you know, like with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
You know, charming and pretty.
He is charming. Absolutely. He still has that. So anyways, it was a great day yesterday. Today's been hell again. So maybe
Oh,
tomorrow, the
no.
day that he travels, let's pray that he'll be good.
It will be wonderful. It'll be fine. I think you're through the worst part of it now.
Yeah. And I know that with my cousins, they've already set up um, equine therapy. They are putting up, buying some furniture for him. They're going to be surrounding him with love. I have a huge family.
I would say going to family, right? That's where he needs to be supported. He needs to be with family.
There's
Yep.
like dozens and dozens of cousins on my mom's side, and they're anxious. They know what his situation is, and they are anxious to care for him, and they refuse. Every time my brothers asked, oh, do you guys have an elderly home there? No, we're not putting him in there. We don't understand why you guys did that. You don't do that to family.
Right.
So they are committing to helping him and playing it by ear, and if they need to put a 24-hour like companion in their house, then they're going to do that. But we're hoping that that's not going to be necessary, because he is 90% of the time good, but
Yeah.
when the 10% he's bad, it's bad. And I realized today that things like dementia and Alzheimer's, my husband kept saying, Sylvia, do you think that his soul left? I'm like, no, there's always, the soul is never fully in our bodies. It does not fully enter the body. And not even in conscious people like ourselves. This is my belief and my studies. The soul is watching over us, and there's a link between us, and
Like
that link
antlers.
is stronger the more conscious we become, of course, but in less conscious people, yeah, it's like a little thread perhaps, and
Right.
it is the ego or the personality that is in charge. So I said, it's not that the soul left, but he doesn't have that connection as strong as he may have at some point.
The anchoring.
Yeah. And my thought was that in these folks, it's similar to with alcoholics or addicts, I believe, where the consciousness sort of starts to step out, and what comes in is another energy form. It
Yeah.
could be another being, or what I've tuned into is another part of the consciousness that's been, speaking of
Suppressed.
the past.
Yes.
So a wounded aspect. I mean, here we are moving from Scorpio to Sagittarius, and this is all Scorpio. So whatever part has been repressed in the individual, and the soul wants the individual to heal, I'm wondering if that's the part that starts to bubble up, the anger, the rage, all this stuff that's coming up in order to be acknowledged and hopefully healed. So
Pretty
what I'm thinking.
interesting. That is a very interesting concept that makes a lot of sense. Because like we talked about probably in the first couple of meetings we came together, the different aspects of ourselves that are kind of they make you uncomfortable, so you notice them, acknowledge them, have the communication with them, and then they'll move on. So that makes a lot of sense. Yep.
That's what I'm feeling. It's like a shamanic retrieval, a soul retrieval process.
Yeah.
That the individual doesn't consciously choose it, but the soul, as a last minute attempt to make something of the life stream, will kind of push that up forward. So that's my theory right now. I'm gonna stick with
That
it.
makes so much sense for sure. And I don't know, intuitively, I just feel like when he goes back home with family in Argentina and everybody, then he'll start feeling a little better each day that he's there, because the weather is different, the air quality is different, the food that he'll be eating is different. It's like a fish returning to his natural pond versus being in a plastic bag, in transport to go to someone's house. So he'll probably return to himself, because he's physically returning to himself. That's,
Thank you.
And then, you're welcome. And I think that one other thing too, did you talk about it? We talked about it. is it called, like astrotopography or something? Like when you with the map,
Astrocartography, yeah.
that thing. So like whatever that is going on for him, it's probably necessary because he's crossing time zones and equators and stuff. So he probably had to do this to get on the other side of whatever else is happening, this stateside or whatever. So that's very hopeful.
Yeah, and thank you for that intuitive hit that you got. That is actually our prayer. It coincides with how we all feel about it. And my father and I were the ones that always wanted to move to Argentina, my mother not. So we've spent our whole life here, 58 years almost that he's here. So this is a big shift, but
Yes.
been begging to go back home, begging to go back home. Unfortunately, he can't go back to Buenos Aires, which is the capital and where he was born and raised, because there's only one cousin and she's not having any.
Yeah. She doesn't have the support systems in the other city. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
this
she
also
has,
gives you a chance to visit whenever you
Oh,
all
yeah.
decide to visit, which is a plausible excuse to get away. That's
oh
awesome.
yeah, it's already in the plans. 3 months, 4 months max. We plan to go up there and have a blast with my cousins, make sure he's okay. And yeah, so yeah,
I
definitely.
suspect that the ancestors, you all's ancestral lines were conspiring. They were
Yes.
like, we got to make some things happen to force them on the chessboard to move in a certain way.
Thank you for that. Absolutely.
You're
Oh
welcome.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. These last 2 weeks, I can't wait till you guys share, because I found out stuff that I had no idea. Talk about Scorpio family secrets. Holy shit. My mother died not knowing the truth about her mom.
Wow.
It's been really crazy last 2 weeks with this whole thing. Yeah, Ayana, you got it. The ancestors kind of put it all this together in order to, I believe, absolutely bring a deep lineage healing for both sides.
Yes.
For both sides. Yeah, it's real, man. It's real. The minute you guys tap into that Scorpio piece, and actually let me go ahead and pop up that. Let's get right into it, because I want to know how you guys did with all your experiences. And let me go ahead and put the Scorpio home play slide, see if that triggers anything. What did you guys do these last 2 weeks? And thank you for listening, by the way.
Of course. I'm like trying to, like, it's blurry to me. I have to like.
Yeah, think back, what happened? A lot of stuff happened.
So hopefully some of these images will trigger you. You got the iceberg, which shows all the stuff that may have been repressed or hidden or held back from your awareness. The X-ray, because of the ability to scorpionic and Plutonian ability to look deeper into something that is not visible. The what's this thing called? The surgeon's knife here. If
The
you scalpel, thank you. If you've been able to dig deep into something within yourself or your life, the shamanic drumming to talk about the healing power, the serpent power of healing, the death and rebirth, and the hidden wealth that is hidden within the shadow. So I don't know, does that trigger any memories of what went on?
I'm trying to think, like for me, I had kind of a spectrum of stuff. Like I had to go away for work, and I usually don't, to meet some other colleagues, like in a training session. And it was a very positive experience, which I was kind of relieved, because sometimes you don't know, like it's not an everyday event, right? So I was kind of wondering too, because of the languages, French and English, and sometimes sessions are all in French, and I'm not really functional enough, but it turned out they had both consecutive together, French and English side by side. And so it was very successful. So I had that as this wonderful, like, experience, a wonderful plus. And then, in terms of, like when I'm looking at the home play on the screen, I'm thinking of maybe like elimination, and I'm going to combine it with the idea that you gave about when Pluto made a transit with natal Neptune, and kind of what happened in that time span that followed. And in the past week or so, maybe it was more last week than this week, I found I was kind of thinking about the whole Scorpio thing, and how, like for me, it's on my sixth house cusp. So it made me think of how, with the emotions that I was experiencing, of kind of like a reaping experience of the wisdom of hard learned lessons, you know. And when you have so much emotion in play, you can be, over time, you could even be bitter about things, and it becomes like a choice of, you know, experiences you go through that you seem to have to go through. And because it can be difficult or complicated, or it seems to be, and it seems to be, you know, ongoing, you know, like, can we make the drama last any longer type thing. And because it's kind of like painful, it's uncomfortable, you know, like, you know, you don't feel, well, you don't want to feel that, right? And so I found maybe it was in part with doing these lessons and the things that come up. And I found it was like, I remember having like a day or two where there was so much emotion, and it was kind of based on what had happened in the past. And it's like a hard learned lesson where I have to decide, do I want to be bitter about it or resent it, like resent the heck out of it? Or do I want to make like peace with it, even though like it hurts or it's uncomfortable or whatever, and say, you know, like, I want to reap the wisdom without the bitterness or the resentment attached. So I remember having a day or two where it seemed very strong. Like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, sometimes you wonder, like, what's the planetary alignment that day or whatever, why it comes up or whatever. So I kind of had like that spectrum of, maybe that came first. And then I had the work thing where we went away, and it was very, very successful. And I was like on top of the world because it went so well, you know? So it was kind of a spectrum of plus and minus. But I was thinking, I love the exercise, or what you suggested about doing the Pluto Neptune thing. And then I went through the years, because it hits like planet, and all the things that happened, and quite a bit happened. And it made me think how strong the effect of Pluto is in a chart. And also in my case, or maybe in everybody's case, Neptune also, in the different things that happened over time. Usually Pluto and Neptune were busy doing stuff on my natal chart. So that's what I have for you for the last couple of weeks.
Wow. Wow. Thanks, Lynn. And some things that came to my mind as you were speaking and sharing. Yeah. First, the last thing you mentioned, Pluto and Neptune and Uranus, let's add the three galactic ones. And people say, other astrologers will say that it's more of a generational thing. Yes, 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 yes to all that. But once you've had those transits, holy crap, it's really personal. You can't say, oh, it just happens to the collective. No, when it hits something in your chart, you can definitely identify it as a very deep force.
And you don't really realize until you take the time and go like, okay, what happened over the years? And I think of like certain events that happened, and then I would look up where the transits were, Pluto and Neptune and so on. And I thought it was really interesting to see, like, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I was surprised to see Neptune so much in the mark, like it was very much in part in play of the whole experience. So I thought it was very interesting.
And what you did is really important for us all to do. That's actually what I did, and how I learned about each one of the archetypes is like I tracked it. I took the ephemeris, the actual paper ephemeris, and I went through the years and marked the events of my life all the way back to birth that I could remember. And then I looked at the transits, and then I did it planet by planet. And the one that was really big for me was Chiron. Oh my God, Chiron is huge. And of course, Chiron is this week as in a new way. But I totally agree with you, completely agree with that. You mentioned something else. Oh boy, that triggered. Oh, just a simple logistical thing. If I really strongly suggest, if you don't have an astrology program, then at least get one of the astrology phone apps. Like the one that I have on my phone is the one created by Solar Fire. What is it called? The phone version app is, well, it's Astro Gold. And it's just a nice, simple, clean, dependable one that you can just, if something is happening on that day, you can pull up the app and look at either the transits or the progressions or whatever, just to get a general feel. And sure enough, almost always there's something by transit to either your natal or the progressed chart. So thanks for bringing that up. Oh, and the last thing, or rather the first thing that came to mind as you were sharing is, it's pretty amazing how we, to me, we're separating, right? We're taking each one of the letters of this astrological alphabet one by one, but it's really hard to truly say, oh, that is only that. They all dovetail and blend. Like you spoke of the bitterness and the resentment of Scorpio, but then you have to look at the prior sign, Libra, who just wants to be at peace and make things nice and not have to deal with the ugly feeling of Scorpio. And then thank God we get a reprieve in the following sign, Sagittarius, that finally we can say, oh, I'm tired of the dark. Let me see some light, and it brings in that optimistic lightheartedness that we so need. So it's, these three particular, but you can do that with any group of the signs and planets. So I just want to say that sometimes it's not so cut and dry that one can identify just one archetype. They blend. And that's the beauty of this, I personally think. So, the other thing was, you were speaking of the bitterness and all that. It's like, it becomes that choice, like what you said, so that even though the hurt's still there, my husband says in his work as a coach that everybody is coming from the place of pain avoidance. And I always argue with him. I'm like, no, here I am, Jupiterian Sylvia. No, there are people that just came to life to be creative, and it's not about pain avoidance. But he's like, yeah, but if you're not creating, and don't you go into pain and you're avoiding the pain of not creating? So yeah, to that. And just that, yeah, it's not so cut and dry. They all blend. Anyways, thank you, Lynn.
I don't think I have so much to contribute, because like the last couple of weeks feels like a blur. I think when we talked last, I think I was making a pilgrimage up to New York and New Jersey for my son to do the prom, right? Did I talk to you guys after that?
After so.
Yeah, I remember you were in New York. I remember you were also at some point with your mom. It's a blur to me too now.
Yeah, I feel like because that happened and then we've been home a week since that time. I don't really know. I don't really remember. It does feel like a blur. But I will say this. I felt like really, I don't have them with me. In the last 48 hours, maybe 72, I felt like really grumpy and like just like moody about like, I can't stand people. Everything gets on my nerves, like kick things out of the way. So like I have found these, I forgot where they are, but it's like a little headband thing and it's got like the little ears. So it's like a Care Bear headband thing. And it was like Grumpy Bear stuff. And so I told that to my, he was like, what's wrong with you, my youngest son? And I was just like, I am grumpy bear. That's who I am. Like, everything gets on my nerves. I'm so upset about everything. And he was just like, Mom, like, really? Like, whatever. And it was just funny. But I was like really, really moody. And I think the Cancer, no, it was right before the full moon. It was because I was really happy during the solstice and very irritated the day after the solstice, and then irritated on the Capricorn full moon. And that was just recently. But before that, I felt, I don't know, it's weird. I felt very forgiving of people who I've kind of just like, what is it called? Put on the back burner as far as like dealing with them, like forgiving of my brother, forgiving of my ex-husband, forgiving to the point of where I'm just like, I could probably help them get out of the ruts that they're in and help, like, break up some of that static energy, and feeling like very generous, like with my, I don't know, healer's touch. But I was like, but then something else was just like, that's not for you to do. Like, no, like, come back, little butterfly. Don't go over there. You go that way. Like, don't go chasing waterfalls. Like, you don't need to do that. And so I wanted to say that to you both, because I'm just like, what is wrong with me? Because sometimes I feel like very much like maybe I should call and maybe I should have like interface with them and, be like very healing and, like be selfless. But then usually I'll think about it. I won't ever do it. I'll think about it and then I just call myself back in. So I don't know. It's like I haven't been extreme, except for the last few days. I was kind of grumpy, but I feel like maybe that is scorpionic and like what lies beneath the inspiration. Like typically Scorpios are intense and like you said, like the bitter and what is it called? Grudge holding. So I'm like, but I'm doing the opposite of that, So, but I didn't take action on it though. Something, probably the Taurus was like, no, we're not doing that. Like they can sit right where they are. They made their beds, let them lie in it. You can like circle back around later, like no need. So I don't, like I said, I wish that I had a breakthrough like Lynn, but I didn't.
Well, that sounds like a breakthrough to me. I mean, one of the key words, if you'll recall, for this is power, self-empowerment.
Yes.
So by the fact that you did do the work, you did do it. Just because it's not out there doesn't mean you didn't do it inside where it most counts, right? If you did the forgiveness within your own heart and consciousness of your siblings, that's all that matters, and then there's that temptation, that scorpionic devil little guy that says, okay, now go on and do this also, but it's not your job and you figured it out, figured it out. So that sounds to me like you did very well. Yeah. Yeah, you didn't do the codependent Libra thing at all. And you created boundaries. That's great.
Yep.
So
you agree, Lynn?
there's that.
I agree. As you speak, Ayana, I don't know if it's the Taurus in you, but it always feels very like a healing vibe from you. Like it's very soothing. And I was thinking as you were speaking about your siblings and stuff, and we had classes before where it came up, and it seemed to me some of the line of thinking from that class had been something like how you're in the family line and you're bringing healing to the family line. Like, you know what I mean? So as you're speaking, I feel like soothed by you speaking. And I was thinking of how, you're good with the family. Like, I don't know how much they know and realize your effect upon them, but like you're good with them. Like your energy is good with them. Right. So yeah, you're very soothing.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'm also like extremely sleepy, and it's not from this. Like I wind up doing this other class yesterday and today, unexpected. I forgot that I signed up for it, and it was like from 10 to 6 both days, and I had to work yesterday. And so today, like I was like, I gotta check out. So at I think 3:10, I was just like, I'm out of here. I got my astrology class. I gotta go. So I'm like tired. I'm really very like mellow, but I'm so maybe it could be that. It could be like just the mellow vibe, like the whole like
You're
I'm
very
here.
relaxed.
Yes.
But you're very Venusian Taurian. I agree with Lynn, and that is a very calming energy, in spite of all the Aries stuff too that you have. But yeah, I agree 100%. All right, let's do this. So let's move on into Sag, and I make sure. Hold
I'll
on.
be right back. I
About
have
my
to run to
dad.
the restroom.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. Okay. Since she's going to the restroom, let me just quickly, if you don't mind,
Yes, do whatever you need to do.
about my dad and my brothers and the plane fare. Let's see. Oh, wow. They finally bought it. Let's see what they got. Let's see if they did what I. They bought the ticket. Oh my God. Thank you. And at the same time, oh my God.
So not good news, I think it.
It's really happening. My dad's leaving.
Um,
Oh God. I know it's for his best. That's what I've been asking my dumbass brothers to, for us not to be selfish and let him live the end of his life on his terms. But this is the first time I'll be without my dad since I was a baby. Oh, God. Oh my God. See, there's the Scorpio tendency to hold on, for dear life. And that's the connection with Taurus, the possessiveness, the not wanting to let go. And then the next sign is with Sagittarius is all about freedom and liberation. So you hold on in Scorpio, and then you finally realize in the transformational process, through the forgiveness, through that shamanic soul retrieval piece, you're liberated. And as you liberate yourself, you liberate others. So I think what Lynn just said to you, I had about the lineage piece for you, and as you forgave your siblings, you don't even need to talk to them in order to know that you've affected them, because you did, just as we all do. Oh God, the rough part's gonna be in 8 days.
8 days.
He leaves on the 2nd, but that night before, when I get him ready, oh God, you guys can just say a prayer for
Of course. Do you want to say why the tears are coming up right now? Like, what is it that you're experiencing?
It's the realization. I don't know if you heard, you walked away for a minute, and I took that moment to see what my husband's text was about.
Oh,
My brothers finally purchased the ticket, and just seeing that ticket it's just like
it's happening. This is happening. Things are in motion.
yeah.
But the thing is, we just did the celebration conversation about why it's good that it's in motion. And the other part too is you had just said he didn't purchase the ticket yet, and it was like, damn it, come on with it. And he finally sent you the confirmation. So it's like, and these are two men, your brothers, the two brothers anyway, but the one that purchased the ticket, that you have not had like the best synergy with. and they are falling in line
Yeah.
at your will, that's blessed by the Most High. But you know, you wanted these things to happen so that the family can converge to take care. So you're winning. You have the trophy.
Thank you. I guess I don't necessarily, I see it as a win for my dad. So
It's a win for the
I
whole
am his
family.
advocate. So absolutely, you're right. You're
It's a
absolutely
win for
right.
the whole family, yes. And like I said, I mean, not to say good versus evil, but you have been like what you just kind of edified you and Lynn edified me as far as being you're the one that's like doing the work for the whole family. You, one person, you're the one who took up the mantle, you know, probably after mom. That's a lot for one person to take up the mantle. And it would always be a woman, of course, you know, because
Of course.
I'm not even going to say anything else. It will always be a woman. But it's just like, that's a lot. You've been an army of one for a long time by yourself. I mean, with a very supportive husband, which counts significantly. But
Yes.
it's just, this is just, these are aftershocks, the tears and the relief. Because you've had a lot of, this is letting the steam out of the pot. You've had a lot, you've been holding it down for a while.
Yep.
So this is just like it's happening, the climax, the orgasm, it's happening. Like,
There you go. There's Scorpio. Absolutely. Thank you, Ayana. Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my charts here. So we're gonna look this week at whatever planets you have in Sagittarius, what signs on your ninth house, where you have your Jupiter located, to see if there's also any planets in your ninth houses, and what sign of what piece of astrological real estate Sagittarius owns in your chart. And so that one's mine, and here are yours, and I have it at the beginning and at the end. And I want to call your attention to, as much as you can, bring up Gemini from the third class, since they work, like all of them, as a pair. So and for both of you, right? Because in Lynn's case, you have both Sagittarius and Gemini intersected, and we talked about that. We did the mathematics of it back then using my teacher's formula. So no planets in either sign. However, the interception does mean that you're well versed with it from prior incarnations, right? That's one of the beliefs about intercepted signs. And for Ayana, you've got two planets that they're not exactly opposite. You know, you've got Neptune in Sagittarius, and Jupiter that rules your Sagittarius is in Gemini. So it's interesting that there's this dynamic, of course, and so that's what you'll be exploring, your Jupiter Neptune opposition in the sign. Excuse me. Let's see here. So anyways, just hold these things in mind as we go through everything. Oh, the other thing was this, that there first of all, there was a similarity between the two of you. Again, you see that, right? Both of your ninth houses are loaded. Yeah, you totally have stelliums in the ninth house. So the ninth house is a very, very fertile place to explore this week. And so and both of you have the sun in there. The sun is, as well as Mercury, which rules the opposite sign, Gemini. So it's just an interesting dynamic that, again, here you both are. So the sun in the ninth even though for both of you, the sun is almost out of the ninth and in the 10th, we would say that it's straddling the midheaven. So we would read, yes, ninth, but also midheaven, which we'll explore next week. But, you know, the sun in the ninth house is shining brightly through sharing your wisdom with others. Quite frankly, that's it. And here Lynn was talking about taking that pain and the uncomfortable feelings and turning that into wisdom. That's exactly what Scorpio to Taurus transition is. Taking the pain, transmuting it, and it becomes lived wisdom. Okay, so it isn't just information like in the third archetype is just a lot of data and information. Here in the ninth, we take the experiences and the information, apply it in an experiential way, and process it such that it becomes an aspect of our own innate wisdom that we, if we choose to, if you guys choose to, with the sun in there, get on your own personal pulpit and share it with others. Especially since it's both your suns are also straddling really the midheaven, which you know is about the soul calling, the vocation, what you're called to do in the outer world as part of maybe your career. I believe, Lynn, you had mentioned in your situation at the beginning, of course, with your intention, that you wanted to know what your new direction is, you know, beyond what you do for a living. So hopefully all this applied wisdom is directing you into that path of the soul, your soul calling. Maybe this week you're going to have experiences that solidify that more precisely for you. And Ayana, for you too, even though that was not your intention at the outset, certainly that's also highlighted. All right, so just bringing into awareness the stellium for both of you, especially the sun in the ninth. And there was something else. Both of you, even though you have different Jupiter signs, notice that for both of you, the dispositor path takes you right to Mercury. It's just wild. So Lynn, Jupiter, and Virgo goes right up here to Mercury in Aquarius. And then, of course, we continue and we go over to Uranus. And then Ayana, Jupiter, and Gemini, which is disposited by Mercury and goes to Taurus. And then, of course, that leads us to Venus and Mars. And, you know, we continue that and we've been revisiting the same two dispositorship planets over and over almost every week for both of you. It's just
it's uncanny. They're what's it called? They're dominant.
Yeah. Now I'm hoping that this week some wild, crazy, fun, exciting door opens for the both of you with Jupiter. And that you'll tap into some new, previously unexplored territory that allows you to understand your life purpose at a much deeper level, at a higher level than you may have experienced before. That's my intention with this. Okay, so I know we're going to bring this up later, but just since this was one of Lynn's first questions about the galactic center, I have a couple slides on that, but just to point out where it falls in each of your charts now, Lynn, it's the 26th degree of Sagittarius is what we call the galactic center. So write this down. So you probably already know it's inside of your 6th house. Okay. And Ayana, yours is inside of your 5th house. Okay. So 6th house is everyday habits, daily habits, could be work and health related, but it's at a deepest spiritual level, it's service, right? So hold that word maybe, or other word that you like to combine in the 6th house for Lynn. And for Ayana, it's the house of joy. You know, it's creativity and children, but mostly it is seen as the house of your joy. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. So mine would also be, it's how did you word it? It's where something intercepts.
Pardon me?
How did you word it? You said it's where it intercepts my 5th house, but it's what intercepting my 5th house?
You don't have an interception.
Oh,
An interception is when a sign, like look at Lynn's chart, and
yes.
you see how a sign is not on where these are the cusps, the lines,
Yes.
of the cusps. It falls inside of a house, so it doesn't own any astrological house.
Got it.
Okay. And
Okay.
that also then by default means that there are 2 other signs that have doubled up in their energy in this lifetime. For Lynn, she's got Cancer ruling the 1st house and the 2nd house.
I see. Okay.
And Capricorn ruling 7th and 8th houses. In your case, no, you don't have any interceptions.
Okay.
That 26th degree of Sagittarius is somewhere in everyone's charts.
Okay.
And so just for the moment, you see how the 5th house starts for you at 20 degrees, 46 minutes of Sagittarius?
Yes.
Well, 26 means it's going to be in here.
Got it.
So just kind of put this off to the side for a second. And when we get to the slide, on the galactic center, we'll go into it more deeply.
Okay, that was just me having Lynn envy, trying to have an interception in my chart too.
I don't know that it's anything to envy, I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, who knows? Everyone is different, but with envy. Okay. So one of the main things about this sign and this planet and the house is the idea of goal setting. And, you know, that's such a big thing in today's world right now. It's the idea of having goals, setting goals, and working towards them. So there's a connection here between Sagittarius and Pisces. And the way that I see it is because traditionally Pisces, the 12th, is ruled also by Jupiter, there's a vibrational connection between the 2 signs through Jupiter. But Pisces dreams, where Sagittarius energy is going for the goal itself, turning the dream into a goal. It's not enough to dream, you got to turn that dream into a goal. So this particular energy is all about going for it. So this is why I call it the sign of the seeker, the vision quester, the adventurer, truth finder, and coach. I'm sure you saw I have Sagittarius rising, and the moon in Sagittarius conjunct the galactic center right up conjunct my ascendant. And you know, I've always been passionate about the moon. The moon is very important to me, and it's in, you know, the astrology of it is certainly indicative of it. But one day I was like, without even thinking about any of it, I came up with moon coaching just because it just made sense to me. You know, it's just like, why hasn't anybody ever thought about this? You know, and nobody had back then. So I put the whole program together, and then one day I'm sitting and I'm meditating on my chart, and I'm like, there it is, moon coach, you know, the moon in Sagittarius, moon Sagittarius coach. It just clicked. And I feel that for a lot of people, it could be that easy to find whatever your little creative, what's that word, niche, or your whatever it is for you, you know. But I feel like you find it on your own, and then you spot it in your chart, or you could do it the other way around. I have done that for other people. Anyway, so yeah, the vision quester and coach. All right. So then with the path of polarity, as I said, you bring up to mind Gemini. Remember, Gemini is communication and the mind and ideas and early childhood education. Well, here we have the other end of that spectrum. Instead of the lower concrete mind with information and data, we have Sagittarius being the higher mind. And that information that we take, as we mentioned with Lynn, becomes wisdom. You apply the information in a real life setting that then becomes wisdom. So I call it the path of mind, being the lower and higher mind. You could also see it as the path of education and beliefs, because we are educated, indoctrinated in the third, and these over time can become our set of beliefs, which then we can, of course, change if it doesn't serve us. Or you could see it as the learning, third end of it, and teaching, the ninth end of it. So the planets that are in polarity in this case are Mercury and Jupiter. So Sagittarius, expression of wisdom, travel, international concerns, publishing, and teaching. Since we both have these stelliums, write down the words and the concepts that click for you or that inspire you in some way. It is the final of our fire signs. So if you haven't been working all this time with the elements, I hope you will, but it's being the final of the fire signs, we can see how there's a link between Aries, Leo, and Sag, but they each, of course, express in a slightly different way. So if you had to pick a picture for each one of these signs related to fire, like a spark or some, I don't know, what would you guys, I don't want to say it, but I want you guys to think of it. What picture would you match up with Aries, Leo, and Sag?
I would match up a flame, like the complete fire flame for Aries. Am I describing the whole the picture?
Both of you, whatever, however you, yeah, whatever.
So I can see like a flickering fire flame, but like you see all of the, like the blue at the top and then coming into like the orange and yellow at the bottom, like a complete, like how they draw cartoon flames or whatever. I can see that for Aries. And then you said did you say for Sag?
For all three
Leo.
Leo.
Oh, okay.
Then maybe the fire taking a form or shape. Not just a flame, but now it's developed into something more.
Like an arrow, like a flaming arrow. And that's kind of like maybe for Sag. Like, doesn't the centaur shoot an arrow or something?
Yep, that's good. And for Leo, you said, and Leo, Lynn, you mentioned the flame has taken a bigger shape.
Beyond just a spark. Like, I'm sort of thinking like the keys too, like key 8 with a figure 8. Like, so it's like concentration of a sword. And then Sagittarius, to me, I like the whole arrow thing. Then there's a direction to go in. Mm-hmm. Like you get launched into something.
And you know what else, when you were talking with the Leo, it's like, so I saw a single fire flame for Aries. Then I saw the arrow, a lit arrow with Sag. And then for Leo, I thought I would see like lions and things like that. But maybe because I see like the round fire hoop that things are supposed to jump through, like the ring of fire, that's what it's called.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's great, guys. Yeah, I'd agree. I also wonder how, the spark becomes the campfire and the campfire grows into a wildfire,
Mm-hmm.
Wildfires are appear to be sometimes destructive, but in reality, they are necessary to burn away what's old in order to allow for new growth to come as a result. So yeah, I mean, I love everything you guys said, and I like those images. So yeah, just wondering how you guys see different things, the different elements.
Yeah, like that exactly. In the background, I saw just one single fire thing, but that whole thing there would remind me of probably what is it called? Leo, but in a circle though. But just because it's just like that, it's like, yeah.
But
Anyway,
it does make sense what you're saying. It does make sense what you're saying with the circle. I like that idea.
thank you.
I never thought of that one. That's great. Absolutely.
I don't know, because you know, I'm thinking about the personalities that I've encountered with like Leo archetypes, where I'm just like, it's kind of all engulfing.
That's
not
true, because
necessarily
Leo,
burn you up.
yeah, powerful in their, I don't know, in their being in their presence or how they express
They project
themselves.
it out, right?
They very much radiate something
Yes,
that they radiate.
Yeah,
exactly.
right on. Yeah. So purification, transmutation, and illumination. So those are still words that run through all three fire signs. Oops. Oh no, my animation again. It was the constellation. So, and the constellation is in fact Ophiuchus. It's the idealization and expansion. So it's like taking the Aries vision spark. Leo adds the passion and the drama and the color to the idea. And then in Sagittarius, we have it expanding outward to really inspire as a result of the prior two signs, fire signs. In the ninth house, the idea of the collective mind, coming to reach broader viewpoints through travel, religion, higher mental studies, and philosophy. So again, a link between Pisces and Sagittarius is religion, Pisces is spirituality.
Mm.
Okay. And here we have some of the astronomical aspects as well as astrological for Jupiter.
You said that in our first meeting, the thing about the Santa Claus, you said something with my Jupiter, because it was happening pretty immediately, like within 2 weeks of our first meeting. And you said, and then here you have Jupiter, like Santa Claus, knocking on your door to bring you a gift.
Yes. That's it. Did he? Do you remember what that was?
I think the gift was, I feel like the gift was like maybe the invitation to do the speaking thing. I think.
That's right, because that happened right after. I think it was the very second class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So expansion of consciousness for me, it's especially, but it could also be expansion of like the waistline. One of the things that's commonly known is when Jupiter comes to transit your first house, your ascendant, since the ascendant, one of the things is your physical embodiment, is that your waistline expands, you gain weight. So you have to be very careful, they say, and it's very true. I've seen it happen time and time again. Whenever in that 12-year Jupiter cycle, Jupiter comes to your first house, be mindful so that if you don't want to gain weight, you don't.
So does it run like that? So like every 12 years?
Yes, it's a 12-year cycle. Like the sun is 365 days. That's what one solar year is. And the moon is 1 month is about 29 days. And the Mars cycle is approximately a 2-year cycle. So when we say the cycle is how long it takes for it to go around the entire zodiac and reach
Okay.
the place. So
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. So I probably started putting on a lot more weight at like 36. And that's when my expansion really started.
well, you have to see where it was at that time.
Oh,
It'd be interesting to see, yeah, if you were 36, that certainly is the third Jupiter round to its own natal position in comparison to when Jupiter by transit hit your ascendant.
got it.
So you
Yikes.
compare and see which one. It's usually the ascendant, but it could be something else, you know.
I'll have to plan for like that third one for 38 for 48 next year to make sure that I'm counteracting.
Yep, definitely. So yeah, it's the Santa Claus of the solar system, of the zodiac, because it's considered the good luck planet. It brings I like to change blessings into blissings because I like the idea of being in bliss, especially with Jupiter. Okay, so we know it has many moons, and there's different theories of how many. One of them is 96 moons. And you can plot all of these in your chart. You can absolutely do that. And the astrologer to look into with this, who's probably done the most with what we call galactic astrology, is Philip Sedgwick. I think he's Canadian, but he's in the US. Dirty old man, but he has important stuff. Yeah, absolutely. It is a gas giant. So to me, the astronomy of the planets absolutely give us information as to the astrological aspect. So one of the things about Jupiterians, meaning people that have Jupiter prominent or are Sagittarius or Sagittarius prominent, sometimes like gas is thrown off, right? Gas is bigger than life. There's a big presence, but they can also just exaggerate things. Sagittarius is known as sometimes either stretching the truth, not from a malevolent lying perspective, which actually sometimes Gemini and Scorpio do it that way, but from a place of making the story bigger than what it really was, to make a point. So there's this idea of just full of hot air kind of a thing. So then of course we know about its great red spot is a raging storm. This is straight out of NASA. It's a raging storm that the size is bigger than our Earth. So there's that largeness, again, that idea of being larger than life. And also that there's always something bubbling of a creative, or it could be anger, it is fire after all, with whatever we have with Sagittarius in our charts. NASA calls it a world of extremes. So, and so consider that in your Sagittarius and Jupiter placements. Does that apply to you? Are there aspects that feel like extremes because of the astronomical aspect here? It's the largest planet in our solar system, but interestingly, it's also the shortest day. So extrapolating that, once again, it's like making things bigger than life, but it might run out of steam real fast because it's the shortest day. So all things to ponder and see if they apply to you in any which way. And here you go, Ayana, there's the flaming sword for you. I mean, the flaming arrow.
Yes.
So by the way, that I do not know who I do know who the artist is. She has a tarot deck.
Oh, wow.
Name, but I got it because she studies esoteric astrology, and it was on one of the esoteric astrology websites, and she's magnificent, and she has it for all the signs. Anyways, the principle is to seek. I seek. So you can, what am I seeking? Ask yourself when you're looking at your Jupiter, what is it that I am seeking through Jupiter? you know, or through what any planets that you may have, or in Sag, or in your ninth house, through all those ninth house planets. Certainly, it's obvious you both are seeking wisdom, just as a clear as day interpretation on that. We know it's fire, it's mutable. The image is the centaur, or half man, half horse. It is active yang masculine, and the body parts are the sciatic nerve, the hips, thighs, sacrum, and pelvis. So there's this need to, in my opinion, stay in erect alignment with the higher purpose, the higher mind, or something can get knocked out, you know, and then we're in pain again. We kind of go back towards the pain of Scorpio.
Would Sagittarius kind of be associated with the sacral area, since it rules all of those body parts that are kind of below the sacral?
Yes, not the sexual, but the sacrum and the sacral, yes.
Okay.
The sacral, what's it called? The little tailbone.
Coccyx.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then so maybe Scorpio would be, since they say the gonads would be the root, since it's the lower.
You're looking for the chakras.
The chakras.
There's different rules, thoughts on that. So
okay.
The signs aren't generally associated with the chakras, the planets are, and you have different schools of thought. You've got from India, you've got, which is where the chakras come from. You'll find a very traditional set of rules. You have new age ones, and I have put them in, played around with different ones. It's something that you might want to explore and see what is fitting. I thought you were asking about the actual vertebrae.
Oh, no. I was trying to, because I noticed the ones that we said, the hips, the sacrum, the sciatic nerve, and there was a couple other ones. I was thinking those were actually like in the sacral area, but lower, like maybe considered the back side of the back side of the person's body versus the front. But I was, in my own head, just like my placement, I was just like, it feels like those were things that will be in the sacral chakra area. So not exactly the base of the person, a little bit further up. But that was me.
All right, well, explore it, but I wouldn't do there's no right and wrong. Go with what your intuition guides you, but I would start with the 7 traditional planets first.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I actually have a cam outside and I can kind of keep an eye on him sometimes. All right, so there's this idea of optimism and happiness and playfulness that come with all 3 of the fire signs, but the one that is most associated with optimism is Sagittarius. So these are questions. What is my overall energetic vibration? So you want to keep that as high as possible. The idea of high. I don't know if I don't get high, but maybe there's something to that. Am I an optimist versus the pessimist? You know, I mean, of all the signs, who might be, or which, maybe there's more than one. Which are the ones that might be pessimists?
Cancers.
Okay. Why? I want to know why.
Well, you know what I because of the whole, and I've got to look back at the chart that you said, because Cancer sitting water, or is that Scorpio?
No, that would be Scorpio.
Oh, I don't know. Cancers tend to get, caught up in the fluidity of the emotions, just like Scorpio, just like Pisces.
Okay.
Respectfully so. But I just noticed it from them. And then I don't know. I've done a lot of like crabby Cancers, like where they're just like, bah humbug,
There's a lot of emotion with Cancer. And I think maybe what makes me think of with Cancer that can be a negative perhaps is that tenacity to hang on. There's sort of a, like, I know it's a cardinal sign, but there's a tenacity, tenacious, like hanging on to stuff, you know, so you can hang on to negative stuff just as good as positive stuff, right? So, but yeah, cancers can get very emotional and moody. That's
And
true.
just like the moody part, and then like you said, like this, the hanging on of it. But at the same time, I know some fire signs that do that. Like Aries seems to, I don't know, it's weird. Aries can be up and fire and burning, but then they can like really start harping on the negative stuff too. And it's like, God, are you always this angry? And it's like, no, I'm not angry.
I think maybe Aries takes it personal, maybe. They're so touchy-feely about how their image is and how they come across, maybe. I don't know.
And it's so weird because they function and can Aries, I'm talking about, can seem to be able to function and thrive in that heaviness of the emotion. Like where other people feel bogged down by it, they're like, I eat this type of energy for breakfast. Like they function in it. Where somebody else might be like, oh, I feel so low. It's taxing me. It doesn't tax them. It doesn't seem like. And if I could think of a earth sign that kind of typically, because I haven't seen a lot of jolly Tauruses. Earth sign. Seems like Virgos will be like the worrying ones. I guess I would have to put it on Capricorns, like where they, you know, could be a little bit more gruff, but I've seen some like out of balance Capricorn, the women though, like out of balance, and they're kind of
well, they can be grumpy too, Capricorn, right?
Yeah, I've witnessed that before too. So
So in terms of actual pessimists though, I can see Aries getting pissed off and angry, and
but not being
that's
pessimistic.
gone. It's
That's
not
true.
I vote for Scorpio.
Yes, that's I agree. I think
Because Cancer could be sad. Scorpio definitely would be the pessimist.
Moody.
I see that.
Cancer can be really moody, but Lynn, I believe you mentioned the moodiness. So, you know, moods go up and down. They're cyclical, like the moon, you know, Cancer's like
yes.
But as far as like seeing the worst because of the tendency to hold on to negative emotion, and the rulership of shadow, I would agree absolutely with Lynn on that one. It's Scorpio. Every one of the signs, you know, this has their particular negative thing. So I think anger, now we're talking generalities, like the pure archetype. Don't forget that they are all modified by other factors. So when we say, for example, well, I know these Cancers and they have a tendency to be like this, and this, or Aries like this, or, you know, Sagittarius like that. Some of the qualities are not necessarily of that sign. So if I say, what's that word? Anxiety, okay? One of the sign that most embodies that negative aspect should come up like that to you, which is Virgo. Okay. Anxiety.
Virgo.
And then you said worry prone, right? So worry, anxiety is distinctly a Virgo quality. Does that mean that your fun-loving Leo doesn't feel it? Or, you know, or because you know a Leo that has this tendency to have anxiety, it is anxious? No, that means that Leo likely has something, that their Leo-ness is being modified by a Virgonian trait somewhere.
Yeah.
So always ask yourself when you're dealing with people, is this true? Is this Aries truly personifying this particular quality, or is that quality really belong to some other sign or archetype
that's coming up in the chart?
That's modifying their Leo-ness or Aries-ness or whatever. So, and it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of today's class, that it's never cut and dry. Again, we're cutting this up, but everything overlaps, everything blends. So just something to keep in mind. So yeah, okay, so back to the questions. I like that. I love it when we can talk like this kind of thing. Am I on the happy road, high road? If not, what will I do to shift into a new and more life-affirming perspective? What chunk of wisdom can I share with humanity? How can I help expand consciousness on Earth? What have I come to teach? Now, all of these questions for both of you they should be for everybody, because everybody has the 9th archetype in their charts. But you guys are mega dose, with those stelliums. So I encourage you to work on these. They're very good. Another thing to keep in mind is like in Lynn's case, no planets in Sagittarius, right? So then I don't have to pay attention to Sagittarius at all in my life, because I don't have any planets like Ayana has, or like Sylvia has. Bullshit. You do. You have to go to the rest of the archetype, the 9th loaded. So that makes you very, very Sagittarian. So these are things that beginners in astrology miss. You guys are already been studying on your own, and now you're here. So yeah, those are things like, or if you don't have any planets and airs in any of the air signs, like I don't have anything in any of the air signs, nothing in Gemini, nothing in Libra, nothing in Aquarius. Does that mean I have no air in my house, in my life? No, of course not. If you go to my chart, I have a loaded 3rd house. That's the Gemini air house.
Yes.
See how the modifications
Got it.
advance, you can start to modify everything. All right. So principle and purpose, according to Demetra George, my need to explore and expand the horizons of my mind and world. I love that. So well, you have the book, or you can write this down and consider that with your 9th house. Sagittarius keywords. So write the ones that you like: expansive, optimistic, truth, friendly, philosophical, vision quest, adventurer, jovial, positive, open-minded, athletic, metaphysical, explorer, philanthropic, aspiring, sage-like, visionary, generous, fiery, passionate, searching, nature lover. So if any of them ring as worthy of your exploration, jot it down, whether as a verb or as an adjective or as a noun. I never did say that before, but I kind of figure you figured that out. Which one rings true for each of you as being something you want to get to know more about yourself?
The very first one, when you put them up, was philosophical before you read out the chart.
Okay.
And then if I could just, well, actually let Lynn go.
Okay. Well, I like a lot of those words, but I really like the vision quest. An adventurer, like, the adventure that is as you go on your quest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay.
I was going to say also jovial. And I'm only saying that because, like when you're in school, primary school, like junior high school, whatever, and a teacher says something to you and it sticks with you, and it's not a negative thing and it sticks with you. She used the word jovial to me when I was in like junior high school or something, maybe elementary school. And I didn't know what it meant, but she was just like, Ayana, you have such a jovial personality and gregarious, those 2 words. And I had never heard them before. So of course I looked them up and I've like put them in the data bank since I was probably like, 10. And so whenever I see them, I'm just like jovial, gregarious, like it's nostalgic.
Yeah. Look up Jove, Jove.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Look. All right. And then of course the Jupiter keywords. And you'll see that a lot of them are the same. Expansion or expansive, for example. Abundance, because we're talking about lots of, right? Or growth, scholar, religion, ideals, spirituality, even though spirituality belongs more Jupiter with Pisces, devotion, ethics, wisdom, foreign lands, expansion of consciousness, growth, teacher, guru, and the higher mind. And even though we visited with Chiron back with Virgo in the 6th house, remember I said we will also need to consider Chiron with Sagittarius in the 9th. So Chiron, again, the wounded healer, holistic knowledge, healing instincts, the rainbow bridge between the known and the unknown.
Oh, I like it.
And that's actually, is it Barbara Hand Clow? If you have not read any of her books, Barbara Hand Clow is like amazing. Barbara Hand Clow, and there's also Barbara Marciniak, and who's the other one that wrote about it? Oh my God, why am I blanking out? I call her my fairy godmother. Oh, it'll come to me. The reason being, because it's literally Chiron stands, the 7 sacred planets that the ancients used ended with the last, the furthest out visible to the eye planet is Saturn. Then beyond that, with modern science and equipment, they discovered the outer planets, the galactic planets, being Uranus first, then Neptune, and lastly Pluto. Well, Chiron sits between Saturn and Uranus. So this is why Chiron is seen as the rainbow bridge between the known visible and the unknown invisible. It's also seen as maverick, and I think it was because of there's an astronomical piece to that. I don't remember off the top of my head. We can see Chiron as our inner and outer teachers, free-spirited, noble, catalyzing, synthesizing, initiator. And it's, if you look at the symbol, it looks like a key. So, of course, a key opens doors.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me wonder, Lynn, since you know about Boda, and that's how we connected, I wonder how Chiron is posited in Paul Foster Case's chart, since Boda, one of the main symbol they use is the open door. It's called that. Ayan, if you want to learn more about that, go to BOTA.org. I know you've heard us mention it like in every class.
Yes.
BOTA.org.
Okay.
And you can request, you know what? Please do this. This is your direct homework. This week, like as soon as we finish class, go and ask them to send you their informational book. And you're going to see why this is the perfect time for you to do it.
Okay.
It'll click.
Got it. Thank you. And thank you.
Yeah. So basically with Chiron, it isn't just the idea of, well, it represents one of our deepest wounds, something that we've spent a long time trying to work on in ourselves, and that we help others to heal from that, but it's often harder for us to heal it ourselves because of the whole mythology. But it represents way, way more than that. So maybe one part of Chiron is in fact related to Virgo, that healing part, the alternative healing, but maybe the other part of Chiron in combination with Sagittarius has to do with turning the pain into wisdom, has to do with being initiated in a shamanic manner from that place of woundedness into that wound becoming the wisdom. So I think that's worth considering as you continue to study with in your chart where Chiron is positive. So we already talked about Demetra's quote, but of course, how do you, so I put it back here because we want to ask ourselves, well, how do we do that? How do you explore? How do I expand my consciousness? How do I do that? Well, usually it's through studying other cultures, so multicultural education. It's also through traveling, usually long distance, because remember, the third was your local neighborhood. Well, here you have expanding out into the world through long distance travel. Again, a place of consideration is in the third, it was maybe reading about reading books and jamming your head with lots of information, right? Like we have read so many books on astrology, but eventually you shift from being a student to you write your own book, you know, you devise your own course of study, you teach others your particular brand of astrology. It's like, you know, so here's my example, and I've shown you guys this before.
Yes.
My book. So yeah, publishing and sharing that information are part of this. So the ninth house keywords: mission and purpose, travel, culture, foreign lands and foreigners, long distance journeys, the search for meaning, right? The vision quest, philosophy, religion, your belief system, exploration, far-reaching communication, higher education, publishing, law, consciousness expanding travels, the higher mind, and super consciousness. So do all those words resonate for the both of you? Being you guys got that?
Yes. But some pull out a little bit. Some I heard, for all of those words resonate for me, but some of them definitely like pop out first. So
Like
mission and purpose, because a lot of times I find it hard to verbalize what my mission and purpose is. It's like I feel like I'm working towards it, but a lot of times it's hard for me to put it to paper, like when they say write a mission statement or whatever. But I was gonna say definitely travel, definitely culture, and there was publishing, and there was another one you said. I think it was conscious expanded travels. And I'm saying that because I traveled first like many years ago, as a teenager, through books, like through looking at books about different places. And I like I've been fascinated with other cultures since I was, you know, early teens, like even probably before that, just with the colors and the just different things. Like, and then I started to explore that with foods as well. So it was like what I couldn't actually get to because I didn't have a passport or I didn't whatever. I did it by submerging myself in the culture and like getting around the individuals that were from a particular culture and experiencing it through the food and the music and the cultural ways of being and studying, you know, their spiritual systems and things like that. So all of those words definitely kind of like resonate with me.
And wouldn't you say then, Ayana, that because of your exploration into all these cultures, you're very different at the level of education than, say, someone who was born and raised in, say, the Bible Belt, let's say, I don't know, Louisiana.
Yes.
Never left their little teeny tiny town of like 4,000 people.
I've met so many people like that too. Oh my gosh.
So the idea is they stay stuck in their little tiny town neighborhood. That's the third house. Nothing wrong with it. Their soul chose that in this life.
Yes.
Right? But of course, we who have explored other nations and cultures might feel a little bit judgmental and look down on them. Condescending could be a negative keyword for the ninth, by the way, and kind of look down on that. I mean, when I was a kid and I would, from the time I was a child, we'd be traveling back and forth to Argentina all the time. And I'd be comparing, how come my cousins know more than I do? And da-da-da. So I started really getting judgmental about people that didn't travel. But anyways, the point is that yes, this does put us in it is what it is. It does put us in a higher position. Like Lynn, you've studied in college, right? To get to the point of where you are in the industry that you work in. So that automatically puts you at a higher level of awareness.
Yes.
Somebody that never graduated from high school, you know?
Definitely. Expanded awareness for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't had the chance to be as immersed in different cultures, like to travel and really it's been more the search for, you know, meaning idea or the philosophy. And I find too, like for my personal experience, like the religion aspect has been an important component to my growth and understanding. Like it certainly had a place in my life, especially when I was younger. And so I find that religion aspect, and I feel like it's associated with the idea of like a ceremonial or ritual or ceremony, because I think Sagittarius is kind of like ceremonial, like decorum,
Yeah.
like something like that. I find I kind of resonate with that.
Absolutely. So like you're actually raising a great example also. Somebody that was born and raised in a very fundamentalist version of a religion, you know, let's just use ours, like Christianity. It could be, I think some of the most fundamental that I've ever met have been Baptist, Christian Baptists. Very, very close-minded, you know, very, very, you know. So here's this idea of being just focused and not accepting other interpretations of the Bible. And yet the minute you start to explore it, wow, then now all of a sudden you're not waiting for a man named Jesus to come back as the Christ to save you, but now in the ninth you understand religion, the Christian religion, from a higher perspective. You are the embodiment of a Christ, you know. So it's like all
Yes.
same thing, but you know, same pivotal, not pivotal, same religion in a way, but
it's a different interpretation. And to me, I would consider it a higher awareness in considering it like, I guess, any major religion, that there's symbols and like ritual or acts in the religion that are very highly symbolic, that people, if I want to be really judgmental, say that they're kind of just sleepwalking through it. Like they don't even know what it signifies. Not to say that I know what everything signifies. 'Cause
Yes.
I don't. But I think like the Catholic religion, you know, it has a lot of ritual. It has a lot of different things that you do for different situations or different practices or whatever. And to me, I feel like there's a clash of like, it's hard to relate to those that are closed-minded, that and they only see this little part of it, and they don't seem to realize that really it's a basic archetype that is implanted there, and it's much more vast and bigger. And I mean, you could think all day about trying to understand the deeper meaning of those symbols, right? And so people think you're a little weird if you find religion has some truth in it or those archetypes in it, and they go like, what, you know, you don't fit that bubble, because a lot of people just disregard it right away. They're like, no, it's religion. And they think of all the closed-minded people, and you're like,
Yes.
the closed-minded people won't necessarily embrace you if they knew what you thought, right?
Correct.
So I find I really like, yeah, I've definitely been in that realm. And I think it's really because of what I grew up with, and it was my environment and what kind of helped grow me, or it was tools. To me, that can very much be a tool, by just the fact of like there's rituals or there's archetypes deeply embedded in the religion that you could use to your own benefit, right? So
Yes.
100%, absolutely. So in everything you just said, what makes somebody like you, like all of us, stand apart in relation to religion is one word that runs through this archetype: quest. Question everything. The
Right.
question being, why? What does it mean? The quest for meaning. It's all there. It's all there. So as Sagittarius and the ninth and Jupiter, ask that question and explore what the many possible answers and interpretations of a religious symbol may mean, or a religious passage may mean. Then it turns into that wisdom that allows for an embracing of all possible religious interpretations, that all religions hold some aspect of truth, right, about the divine. But it isn't until we get to Pisces, where now that same quest, the final answer comes, and it's like, we're all one. There's no separation. It's all the same. And so no more judgment, no more, you know. So there's, again, the connection between Sagittarius and Pisces eventually through the questing of the Jupiterian vibration. Boy, thank you guys. We are definitely doing Sag with all this philosophizing, eh? I am going to go use the restroom real quick. So if you need to run to the restroom, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. And then actually that reminded me, once again, and a perfect example of what we were just discussing on religion and questioning, and the multicultural aspect of it, is to bring up Joseph Campbell once again, the author of The Hero with a Thousand Faces and The Hero's Journey. So I know I brought up The Hero's Journey before. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look it up. I think I did. I may have posted about it, but that's another great book for people like us that have major ninth archetype in our lives, in our consciousness. Anything from Joseph Campbell, but especially the book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, because what he did was precisely this. He questioned it all, and he started weaving a thread throughout all of the different religions and philosophies and spiritual paths and the mythologies across different cultures. And he noticed that there's a common theme, a common set of characters, there's a common story between all of them. And that's how he came up with, there's only one hero. And they all have, the hero has many faces, but the story's the same. Whether we're talking about Jesus, or we're talking about Buddha, or we're talking about Osiris, or whichever one, they all have the same story. So this is where he devised the hero's journey and where he wrote the book. So you can, I'm sure if you go onto YouTube and do a search for Joseph Campbell, watch a few snippets of his old videos. He's long gone, but in Hollywood, I guess the first movie that was ever made following the hero's journey kind of outline was Star Wars. And then if you look at every movie ever written, they all follow the same exact pattern, every single one. It's all Joseph Campbell's hero's journey
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
And
Cool.
that's one of the things that from day one, I'm like, well, you know what? Astrology is nothing more than a hero's journey. So one of the other classes, it's not a class, it's like a workshop that I designed and teach, is the astrological hero's journey. And I have a script that I wrote for people to kind of like fill in the blanks. And then we do the journey together based on each person's personal hero's journey script. But you know, if we can get a few more people to do that, one day we can do the full weekend class on that workshop. But it's all there. And of course, the tarot is nothing more than the hero's journey too. Wait, why did I have that? Oh yeah. I forgot about this one. So yeah, the Stephen Covey, but I think I've seen this credited to other people. We're not human beings on a spiritual journey, we're spiritual beings on a human journey. So the idea of journeying, the idea of expanding. Another aspect to Jupiter is law. You know, even though generally we see justice combined with Libra as well as with Saturn, there's also a place for it with Jupiter as the judge, but in a slightly different way. So just more here, the idea of the vision quest. If you don't know Native American, the different tribes and tribal stories all have some version of the vision quest, which generally is at the turning of an age for a child. They are sent out into the wilderness. For boys in particular. Girls, we have our menses when we become young women through our first bleeding, and that's a different kind of questing. But generally the boys will be sent out into the wilderness with nothing but water, and they cannot rely on mommy and nobody else, and they have to survive in the wilderness on their own to prove that they are now matured. So if that's yet another lineage that's worth looking into. How does each tribe, how does each culture show the idea of maturing? And there's that age, 12. I said at the beginning that Jupiter has a 12-year cycle. So every 12 years, 12, 24, 36, so on, there's a Jupiter return, which often in today's modern world we associate with like a business related or a creative related new beginning, right? Each return equals a new beginning, whether we're talking a Mars return, a solar return, a lunar return, a Saturn return, and so on. It's always a new beginning that relates to the energy of that particular planet. So with Jupiter, it's about simply growth. How much have I grown in the previous 12 years, usually related to work and career, but not really. If you're a more spiritual type, it's just quite simply, how much have I grown in my consciousness in this past 12-year cycle? How much would I like to grow in this new next 12-year cycle? So you can look at that. I personally think in terms of adult and adulting, the age that would represent when we can do adult things should be based on the astrology. So it should either be related to the second Jupiter return, so when you turn 24, because 18 ain't it, or the first Saturn return at age 28. But you know, that's yet something else that could become a philosophy there. So the idea of religion, beliefs, multicultural spirituality, and eventually leading to this idea of coexisting, because the common theme between all religions, things that we've already just discussed. But also because, as we also discussed, if you're on a higher echelon of education or whatever it may be, we know we're right, you know? So there is this righteousness quality that you may discover in yourself in the Jupiterian area of, and rightly so, you know? Rightly so. I love Elvis Presley. Truth is like the sun. You can shut it away for a time, but it ain't going away. And of course, that he changed it a little bit from, I think it's an old Chinese proverb. Like you can, like something about you can hide the sun for a while, but eventually it comes up and you're going to see the light anyway, you know? So truth is a very big part of this. Where the previous sign has secrets, we may have scorpionic or plutonian secrets in our lives. And in a manner of speaking, if you're holding back information, that's a form of being dishonest. It is a form of lying, right? And the opposite sign, Gemini, has a thing for, I mean, there's an aspect of lying. They're known for being a bit deceitful, you know, where that are part of us. That's where the deceit and the lies and the lack of truth comes in through the Gemini and third house piece. So this is why truth, and sometimes there's the version of making the truth so big, expanding and exaggerating the truth so much that it itself becomes an untruth. That's the irony of it, right? So yeah, the search for truth, again, the answer to the why. All right, so here's Chiron again. So we've already discussed the wounded healer. I don't know if we discussed the part of Chiron being the teacher and the idea of sacrifice. So let me read this is to refresh my memory. Invoke the wise centaur who assists us with our life's direction, leading us toward far horizons where we can enter the consciousness of vision questing for our deepest spiritual and philosophical truths, and to accept the journey of self-healing that we may remember our wholeness. All right. So the myth of Chiron, and why I'm saying teacher and sacrifice. He trained all of the known Greek or Roman heroes, depending upon which version of which mythology you're dealing with. And including, for example, Hercules. And that's how Chiron got his wound. Hercules shot an arrow made with poison that Chiron himself had made. So the poisoned arrow hit Chiron's thigh, and that's where he ended up getting this wound that he was never able to heal, even though he himself was a master healer. Now, what's interesting about that is it was poison that he himself created. So there's another piece to ponder. What does that possibly mean? Do we poison ourselves with our own self-made poison? And what's the sign before Sagittarius? The sign of resentment and non-forgiveness.
Oh my goodness.
What do they say about forgiveness? That it's not for somebody else. The forgiveness is for yourself. You want to hold on to that shit. So there's something there to ponder, yeah?
Can I ask you, you brought up a good thing. So then can we maybe postulate that Chiron's wound, that the human condition is Chiron's wound?
As a whole, as a collective, yes.
Yes.
Yes. That actually brings in the idea of the fallen angels. That brings in the whole concept of Lucifer, which has been made into the bad guy, is not necessarily. It's just something to ponder.
There's something to ponder.
It
popped up in my head, especially when you said shot by an arrow darted with his own poison. Like,
yep. Yep.
That's a
He was
whole,
training Hercules, and yep, you got it.
I'm like, that's a whole, what they call it, kicking the pants and clusterfuck. Like,
Yeah, that's that absolutely.
Mm.
So then what happened? So anyways, he was never able to heal himself. So he was always in excruciating pain, and he was immortal. So he couldn't die. He wanted in many ways to die because it was so excruciating, but he couldn't because he was immortal. And somehow in the meantime, here comes Prometheus. And Prometheus is connected to Lucifer, all right? Lucifer meaning the light bringer, right? Lynn, I don't know if you know that from your Catholic studies, because that's been well hidden. But Lucifer
I've
is
heard of
really,
that, Lucius and light, yeah.
Mhm. And actually, biblically speaking, Jesus also referred to himself as the morning star, just like Lucifer. So I have some theories about Jesus and Lucifer.
I wanted to ask you that. So that'll be like maybe an addendum after we get through all of our slides and everything else, because in my Of Salt and Water book, it talks about Christ, and the meaning is crystal, the bringer of light. So Christ is crystal, the bringer of light. So if Christ is the bringer of light and Lucifer is the bringer of light, then what's the problem? Like, or who were they? Were they brothers? Is it the same man, two different faces, two different hats? Like,
Yeah, here we are philosophizing on what might really be the true story.
oh, Jekyll and Hyde. I like it.
Yep, absolutely, Ayana. So, all right, so Prometheus is the one here on the right. Prometheus, the light bringer, literally, he rebelled against Jupiter or Zeus, and he stole, but he was mortal. And wait a minute, was he mortal? But let me pause on that part. So Prometheus stole fire, light, from Mount Olympus and brought it down to humanity, the light bringer, right? He brought light down from heaven to earth, which Zeus or Jupiter did not deem humanity worthy of it. Therefore, he punished Prometheus by chaining him to a rock. And in some stories, it was an eagle, and others a griffin, a vulture of some kind, some big ass bird, would come down every evening and eat out Prometheus's liver. Jupiter rules the liver, by the way. And
hence the word "eat your guts out." Is that "eat your guts out"? No.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that right? Eat your guts out or something.
Yep. So I never made that connection, but yeah, totally. So the vulture or eagle, griffin would eat the liver, and overnight Zeus would cause it to regrow so that Prometheus would forever be chained and having his liver eaten every single day, and he would be in perpetual hellish mode, right? God, that really does sound like the story of Lucifer, doesn't it? By the way, if you're not familiar with the TV series Lucifer,
They made him so sexy. I've only seen like trailer, but they made Lucifer so sexy. Oh,
Yep.
and like a Scorpio, actually. Like very
Very
much like, he's definitely an alpha, man, big D energy for sure. Like, oh wow.
But in reality, the series is worth watching. Some of it is pure entertainment, but there are hidden gems. Whoever wrote it had an absolute understanding of occult and esoteric teachings.
Okay.
But you have to see the whole thing. And there's this whole thing about God, the abandoned son, goddess shows up in all this. It's insanely funny. Sometimes, yeah, sexy, but there are hidden gems of truth, which you got to watch to be able to see it.
Yes. It's kind of like, you know, staying steeped, like how they would say to stay steeped in like scripture and things like that, the hidden jewels. So
Yes.
that's pretty cool. I will watch it for sure.
Yeah, and I think it was on for 4 years, and it got really good, I think, in like the second year, and things just started weaving, and they started weaving in more esoteric gems. That's how I
Got
get
it.
it. All right, so that's what happened. So okay, so that's what happened. So here's Chiron suffering this wound that he cannot heal, and he's an immortal and he can't die. And here's Prometheus, who is mortal, but Zeus causes him to kind of still be alive anyways, perpetually. Chiron says, I have to end this pain. So he sacrificed himself by going to Prometheus and saying, let's trade places. And what he did was, he was finally able to die, Chiron. And I don't remember what happened with Prometheus, to be quite honest, but Chiron was placed for his sacrifice up in the heavens as the celestial centaur. So that's the constellation we see. So hence we have the archetype of the wounded healer, the teacher of all the heroes of mythology, and the sacrifice, which means to make sacred, to make something sacred, that he liberated the light bringer from his perpetual torture by him sacrificing his immortality. And that's it, I guess. So consider all those aspects of the story and see how your particular Chiron placement might have some things about that for you. Where have you sacrificed yourself for others? What have you come to teach? What have you come to help others heal? Or, you know, all of these pieces. What light can you bring to the planet through your particular brand of wisdom, etc. Then there's Asclepius. I'm giving you some personages that all characters that relate to the archetype. I'm going to go a little bit fast on this one, but just write this name, the next two names down, and you can do some research on your own. But Asclepius is, let me see, which part do I want to tell you? He was also a great healer, and he was able to resurrect the dead. There's another connection with Yeshua, Jesus, too. What he did was he found out the secret of resurrection, life and death, by watching two serpents, a couple, which one died and its mate went and got some kind of herb, supposedly, in one of the versions of the myths, and fed it to the dead serpent mate, and it came back to life. But it's also said that he learned that secret through Gorgon blood, okay, Medusa, who was the one with the serpents in the hair. So there's a deep connection between Sagittarius and Scorpio through Asclepius. And hold on. So then, right, because Pluto, or Hades, then asked Jupiter or Zeus to kill Asclepius because he was running out of people in the underworld. So here comes Jupiter, and he throws the thunderbolt and kills Asclepius. But because he was such a good person or whatever, they put him up in the heavens as Ophiuchus. And I'm sure you've all heard the 13th sign. There is no 13th sign within the 12, but here's my philosophy that I channeled many years ago, and I'd like to know if this resonates for you, if you guys think about it. So you have the zodiacal belt. All of those 12 astrological signs are constellations that are the backdrop for the cycle of the sun, okay, going around and around. well, it appears that way anyways. So there is one constellation, Ophiuchus, who is the personification of Asclepius, who was supposedly a real being. But Ophiuchus, if you look at the stars in that constellation, has just a toe positioned on the zodiacal belt, okay, which is the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the circle that the sun apparently makes in the circle of the 12. But Ophiuchus has one little toe, and that's not a toe, it's the I think it's the heel, but nevertheless it's the foot, a part of the foot on that belt. So he's not really the 13th sign, but you could make a case for, yeah, but he's touching it, so maybe. So here's what I came up with. You have the 12 apostles, and you have the 13th. Who is the 13th? The 13th is Yeshua, Jesus, the teacher, the one who healed, the one who saved through example. So to me, Ophiuchus is the personification in the zodiac of the Christ energy. He is the Christos, the one who brings the 12 into a higher state of being, a higher state of consciousness, in order to just continue to rise up. So just kind of putting that out to you. I don't know if I have shared. Yes, I have shared it in the past. So play with that, especially since you both have connections to Christianity, Catholicism, Yeshua, but as well as other philosophies and mythologies. And just kind of play with that, especially as you start to read about it. So caduceus is, the other part to that was that this idea of Ophiuchus being the 13th sign only recently started. It only recently entered the collective consciousness in the last, I don't know, 30 years or so. Why is that? Well, because we're coming to completion of the Piscean age, right? We've been in an overlap of the ending outgoing Piscean age, which is about Christianity, and we are dovetailing and entering into the Aquarian age. So I believe firmly that when ages overlap, archetypes, which are real living energies, real entities, real beings, return or come into the collective consciousness with its pure energy to be integrated by humanity. This is why I believe that Ophiuchus represents the return of Christ consciousness at a level that has not been seen in 2,000 years. The actual teachings of the Christ, not the bullshit religious stuff from Sundays, but the real meaning of the symbols, the real meaning of the rituals, the real meaning of the blood of Christ. So just that. Any feedback, any thoughts before I move on?
It's fascinating. I'm gonna do some more research because anyway, it's fascinating. I was gonna say I like that you basically said that he's considered the master of resurrection, and then I think you would say, exalted him into Ophiuchus, yes, because of his good deeds and him being a good person, like a good steward, basically. So I've seen this statue, and I've seen his statue, and I've probably seen the name, but I didn't know the stories behind it though.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Asclepius is fascinating. I honestly believe I have a direct connection with some energies and archetypes, and this is one of them. Asclepius, and you'll see the next one is an Egyptian one, and Chiron. Lynn, you were going to say something too?
Well, it was going to be pretty short. Like it's something that I read more about. Like I'm not as familiar with this particular story, but you line it up nicely with, you know, the tradition or the story of Christianity and the Christ, you know, like, you know, resurrection, the blood of Christ, and you have blood mentioned here. So it's all new for me.
Okay. Well, let me know if you guys find any new information or download anything, because I really would love to put a book together on this someday. All right, so the caduceus, we see that modern medical big pharma stole it from Asclepius because his symbol was the caduceus, but it was one snake, not two, even though the story itself had two snakes. And his temples, the word clinic comes from the connection with Asclepius. And they were in ancient Greece, healing temples, which were called dream temples or clinics. And they healed through the interpretation of the patient's dreams. And those dreams were induced by having a snake bite a non-poisonous snake, but somehow it put the patient in a shamanic state of consciousness, so that when they fell asleep, they would get messages from their soul or guides, and then the clinicians, healers, would interpret it and work the healing that way. And his daughters are Panacea and Hygeia, and whatever the name was with clinic. So all of these, we get these names, like hygiene comes from Hygeia, and there are asteroids that can be plotted in the chart as well, especially for people that work with some form of healing. And then the next character is Imhotep, he who cometh in peace. This is another one that was an actual historical figure, this one in ancient Egypt, and you can find him recognized as a physician in the National Library of Medicine in Egypt. And that there's yet another connection to the idea of Christ or Christ consciousness. Oh, he was also the architect behind the step pyramid. There's a lot you can find out about him. It's just fascinating. And look at the time that he existed, 2,600 years before Jesus. There are no new stories. Well, I already spoke about this one. But the reason I have this in here is because, so here's the like artwork that has always been in use by the ancients and all the way to modern times for Ophiuchus, right? Which is the man holding the serpent. Oh, and here he is. There's the foot on the ecliptic. And as he's doing that, he's stepping on the scorpion. Okay.
Yep.
And then they took, NASA took a picture in whatever X-ray or whatever ray this is, and look at that. Look at that. You could overlay it. Isn't that beautiful? It's like, how did the ancients picture this, and modern science captures the actual energy, the light being emitted from those in the exact way that they had pictured it in the past. So I just love that.
And then one more thing before, if you can go back, it looks like the head is on backwards.
The head here?
No, the head in the modern picture, correct. See how the face is looking but the same, the butt is also the same direction?
Looking, oh.
So is that the head of the same thing?
This one that I'm circling is the back of Ophiuchus's head. That's his hair. I mean, it's not a great picture, great resolution, I'm sure.
So, but if you go the one that's right slightly up, so this is, you see how you see the backside of a man and the foot and everything else, right?
Yeah, that's Ophiuchus.
So his face is still reversed. Like, you see how I'm saying the head is still facing the back of the body. If it was that little dark thing, or if it's the little human head that has the yellow thing under the nose, both of those heads are still facing the back of the body if they're supposed to be his head.
Or the head's upside down, the one that has the yellow, is that just the head upside down?
No, that's Hercules. No,
Okay.
this is Hercules here.
That's Hercules.
Oh, this is a different
one-
body. This is a
Okay.
different person.
But then this one, like when you circle, it looks like a dog head. It still looks like it's turned to look at us, but that's the back of the body.
Mm,
You see,
I,
because it's a butt, but then that,
I know
that's-
what you're saying, but I don't.
Like he's got no neck, I think. Like it's the back of the head, hair, but it's like he's got no neck, right? But it's like awkward looking,
but
but
I see eyes, but that's not eyes. Like it looks like a
No,
dog.
those are the stars. No, no, no.
Oh,
Those are
okay.
I see why you're thinking that. No, no. So there's star, 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 star.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is his hair flowing. It's definitely he's facing away from us.
Okay. So then the no neck thing kind of looks okay. Got it.
Awkward. I see I see the no neck thing, but I think it's just because they're depicting the back of his head and his hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Now we come to
Galactic
Galactic
Center.
Center. All right. So I call the Galactic Center the cosmic womb. And in 2005, first of all, it's a supermassive black hole. Black holes suck any light that's around it, sucks anything that's around it into itself, right? A supermassive black hole is extremely powerful. So at the center of our galaxy, this is what exists. And it was in 2005 that a very powerful event happened. And that's when NASA was able to capture in image form a helix, a double. I think it was a double helix shaped DNA looking thing that was being emitted from the center of the galaxy. Now, this was before the New Age and New Age authors grasped the idea of humans evolving in our DNA. DNA is a spiral, but prior to this event, authors like Barbara Hand-Clow and Barbara Marciniak were the only ones that I know of that had spoken about a group of the word is aliens, but it's not, a group of extraterrestrials or other beings from other dimensions or planets called the Pleiadians.
Mhm.
And that they were speaking that humanity would evolve our DNA into the double helix, and 12 actually I'm sorry, we are double helix, 12 stranded DNA. So it was quite interesting that this was pictured coming out, being emitted, being spit out by the supermassive black hole at that time. And I always felt and downloaded that it was a sign that humanity was now moving into, as both Barbaras had said, a point in space that evolved us, okay, evolved our consciousness, evolved our bodies, and that there it was, this was an actual photograph of an actual cosmic event, galactic event. So I guess what I'm saying are two things about the Galactic Center. One, that around that time, something shifted, and that we have been on some form of, I believe, fast track, and this is, and I believe that this is what the baddies have been trying to stop, particularly the last 4 years that we've been living, and I know we started talking about this at some point, that the mythologies, the languaging, some of the stories that we know, both in religion and spiritual paths, they all overlap. Because here we've been talking about coronavirus. Corona is crown, right? Crown chakra. It is actual crown. It is crowning as a baby that is being birthed, right? Crowning through the womb. And if in fact the ancients are right, if though any one of us that has this connection to this other dimension, and I absolutely believe that you guys must have this connection. A, you wouldn't be here. Two, look at your freaking charts, and the two of you have so many similar things. And the loaded ninth house, and I am very similar with the ninth in my chart, that somehow we know this to be true. We have been preparing for this particular point in space, time, and evolution of consciousness, and we must somehow tap into this energy and bring about whatever each of you, whatever I, you, and others like us, to somehow help birth the new humanity or birth the new earth. As whacked out as what I just said may have seemed back when I first brought this up many decades ago, it doesn't sound so crazy anymore, because so many people have in fact now caught up. So many people have awoken to all of this. So this is why it's so important. It doesn't matter if you don't have any planets at the conjunct the galactic center, okay? It certainly facilitates the process of downloading if you do, but it's not necessary. Any human being, any soul can tap into this energy. So at the very least, you can, if you choose, if this resonates for you, at any time that we have the sun transiting that point, which is roughly around the 20, I'm sorry, around the 19th, 20 minus 4, 16th, the 16th of December, roughly 16th, 17th of December, every year when the sun transits that particular degree, 26 degrees of Sagittarius, is one time. When the moon every month transits that point, every single month, really any planet, but those are clearly the two most obvious. So once a month and once a year, we have greater access to tapping into this and downloading whatever we need. And it's different for each of us, you know, but at the very least, it feels like attuning to the rewiring or the rethreading, if you will, of our spiritual DNA. Let me, okay. So
that's very empowering, you know, like how people, I love your breakdown and interpretation and then summary at the end about the rethreading of our spiritual DNA, because, you know, in the past, I know myself and others, and I'm pretty happy and perky normally, but it's just kind of like, man, this is happening, or the state of the world, or the different viruses, or, you know, the impending race war and all the different things, and the poor presidents and everything else. Like, man, what's the point? How can we combat this? How can we counter this? You know, we're not organized enough. There's not enough of us to band together, and this and that, and the powers that be, and da 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 da. But if so that can be very depressing, right? Because it's like, it seems too big of a mess to clean up. But if you're everything that you just said, even down to, like you said, the ancients, and matching with like the words and coronis, and it's the crown, and the coronis virus, the virus of the head, the virus of the crown, and the mind, and the thinking, and the big reset, that actually makes it feel better, because it's like labor pains. All this is for a purpose then. Okay, a baby's gonna come out of this. Like, it's not just pain in vain. It's something greater to come of it.
For a reason.
Yes.
So it's kind of hopeful, actually. I find it's kind of a hopeful thought of that there's so much more going on that, you know, we wouldn't necessarily know or realize, but it's like we're all being lifted up. Like I like your choice of words of the labor or the birth pains, because, you know, we've been through a lot, I think, over the last, you know, 4 years or so with the pandemic and everything. And then when you say there's not enough like helpers or whatever, I find in general, there's not enough workers in the workforce, or, you know, to do things. And so we're really put in a situation, to me, that it's kind of like extraordinary, you know, like, and is it for something? Where is it going? Like, you know, is it worth all the effort, you know, like, kind of why bother?
And so that's what I'm saying, because like, if without, and I think I've had glimpses and feelings and impulses of what you said, how you broke everything down before, Sylvia, but just for you to say it, like, it's like you're looking at the blueprint and you're explaining, well, actually we have this going on here, and we have this going on here, and here's the map. So it's like, it's confirmation. Okay, it's not just me being hopeful for the sake of my own sanity to be hopeful. It's like, no, really, this is actually what's happening. If we roll out the map of what's going on energetically, you can see it here. It's like in the floor plans, you can see it. So it's like, oh, thank God, because I was like, you know, covenant of one, keeping the faith, you know, sort of a thing. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep, you know, like the guys on the Titanic. I'm just gonna keep playing my violin. But
as the ship goes down,
you know, but if it's just like, it's great confirmation. It's like, and it's not even just like, oh, because you're the great Silvia, you know, Pancaro. It's because it's like, I see it. It makes sense, because I feel like we've been doing these practice drills for years and years and years. And it's like, okay, it's not just, there is a means to an end, or it is for, like you said, ultimately, Lynn, a purpose. There's a, what's it called? Method to the madness, sort of a thing.
Yeah. Validation also, I think. It gives a validation to how you felt, things that have happened, and so on. And I feel like we're really being stretched.
Yes, like a skeleton crew, like you said.
Trying, and you're like, why is it so trying, or why again, or why ongoing?
All this effort for so little, you know, like so little return, it seems like eating crabs or a little bit of meat.
They're shaking people. It's like, don't you see it? Don't you see the pattern? Wake up, you know, it's like, you know, and then you see so much going on that people don't see it, or they refuse.
The great distraction.
Or they're scared or distracted. Absolutely. Dumped down. It's like, no, please wake up. There's something great coming. Those solar flares our sun is doing shit that we were supposed to receive, but we were made to fear it. Our sun was activating this.
Yes.
You know? And we were made to go into cower and fear inside our homes.
And literally to go inside.
There. Yeah.
Right. So and you know, yes. And the other part about it, like you said, because like all of the fear mongering about social distancing, stay inside, and it's just like, but that was to make everyone go indoors so that we couldn't witness them capitalizing on the flares and, you know, the positioning, like the other, I don't know, maybe it was like all the heads of the major banks, or maybe it was, you know, like, but it's like, I'm sure they didn't go inside. I'm sure that they met up. They were like, come on, let's convene. Like, the public is away. We can do this. We can do our rituals, so to speak, you know, without having to manage the people, the American public, or the public of the other countries and everything else. So,
and they came down in Canada, Australia, So many nations. Italy got slammed. Of course, we know China, but
Australia
Australia
was
was the worst.
yes.
Oh my God, those
Yes.
poor people. But yes, we were made to come indoors. I don't necessarily think that they're, this is gonna sound nuts, but I do agree with some people that they're not necessarily human, you know? I do believe in other life forms.
There's been,
We've
I mean,
got-
they've been selling that in movies. They live like from way
Mhm.
back in the 80s. They've been putting that out there to gently
Mhm.
kind of introduce the idea, you know, and I think it was called Signs.
Oh, I
Uh,
forgot about that one, yeah.
Right. They've been pushing that out
Yeah.
there, you know, or people, they've been let's say they've been allowing artists to push it out there under the guise of entertainment so that you can kind of like almost like an inoculation, give it to them in small doses so that when it comes full-fledged, they can handle it. You know, those who are
But then
still
the
here.
people that actually speak of it as true, they literally demonize. Like
Yes.
David Icke in England, you know,
Yes.
banned in so many countries because he's been so vocal. Now, I don't agree with him 100% on everything, but yeah, you got to watch who they try to shut up. Whether it's science, spiritual, religious, whatever it is, the ones
Women.
try to shut women, God knows. But absolutely. So my point in sharing this with you guys, beyond the scope of the astrology, is for what you just acknowledge, which is to see the blueprint, to see the bigger picture, to feel that the hits that you've been getting over the years are real. It's valid. What you have been feeling and maybe made to think like, oh man, I'm alone or I'm crazy. No, we're not alone. We're not crazy. There is a bigger picture. There's a pattern that is in play, and it goes beyond the one generation, beyond the one lifetime. This is much older than 4 years. It's much older than 50 years. This goes back a long time, and more people are starting to piece it together. So where this once was like the stuff of being made to feel I'm crazy, it no longer is, because more and more people are they're just piecing it together. They're finding old images. They're tapping into a higher sense of consciousness. And just historically, and this is why it's so fitting with Jupiter, the expansion of consciousness, because Jupiter makes you look at the larger picture. Whereas, and remember, the hope, the faith, the optimism that there's a greater meaning to it all, versus what the media, politicians, and all these other powers that be have been trying to make us go like this, blind, and not question reality, not ask ourselves why, and make us accept only what they say, and what everything that is said is fear-based. Write this down. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Some people call it like, so I don't remember what there's another interpretation of it, which is really good too. But I love this one. False evidence appearing real. Not everything they put in front of us, not everything that science or politicians tell us is true or real. And the more that someone's accused of being a conspiracy theorist, the more validity it likely has. And it's so easy. You just have to research, real research, because they hide it in plain sight. If 4 years ago, when all this started, the first thing I did was go back to, I mean, this portion of their plan, being the coronavirus nonsense, was I went to the United Nations website, as well as a couple other military, scientific, and political websites, the US and the UK in particular. It was all there. How, if you compare 4 years ago, okay, they had projected plans for population in each country then versus now. And it was so much less projected for 2025. And if you go into the esoteric literature, 2025 is supposed to be a year in which it is believed that Christ consciousness is supposed to return. Not Christ, the man in the heaven, but the consciousness. And again, the solar flares, the solar activities, the Schumann resonance, everything's lining up, guys.
Yes,
You're
it's
not
true.
alone. It's also ludicrous to believe that human beings and Earth are the only inhabited planets. Everybody used to laugh at people that said, "Oh, I've been visited by, this, that, and the other being." And what happened? NASA finally broke out 3 years ago and admitted it.
Yes.
Finally, but even before they admitted it, if you went to the NASA website and if you dug far deep enough, I found, as many others did, recordings of their astronauts saying there is an unidentified yada, 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 yada. Seek and ye shall find.
Yes.
This is Sagittarius, Jupiter, 9th house. This is you, Lynn, Ayana, me. This is like just the three of us here, countless others globally that have figured this shit out. And I know nothing. And I know nothing. I only piece certain things together that pop to me. And you're right, Ayana. Hollywood discloses it in a manner that it can come into the human consciousness, but they throw it against us. Okay. Again, humanity was supposed to be crowned in some way, and I believe we still are. I believe that there's still something coming. This is also why artificial intelligence has been pushed into all of this.
So far, it's like pushed in your face, down your throat. You must accept it. You must use it.
5G, when we were in lockdown, how is it that when they finally let everybody back out, there were 5G antennas everywhere, particularly in hospitals and schools, nursing homes? Where did they come from when we were in lockdown? We couldn't see what they were doing.
Right.
That they were doing rituals, and so as far as them using the wonderful energy that should have been ours, I think they were blocking us from getting it, period.
Yeah.
And doing all the, okay, but anyways, there's all this is for a purpose. All of it is for a purpose. Okay. So yes, maybe, and when I went over out to the bathroom and I was walking back, I was thinking, after the class is done, if this resonates for both of you, and we draw to us more like us, maybe we should do like at least a monthly gathering together, meditation.
Yeah, it resonates.
Discussion.
I was thinking, I've been thinking about that for the last couple of weeks, and I was just like, man, what are we gonna, can't just end. We have to, it has to go into something, and I actually do really adore that we are forming a triangle. I'm into triangles and circles, but I'm like, I'd be willing to expand and open up so that it could be, a circular thing.
I'd be open to I'm kind of curious as to what would be, kind of the next step, or I'd be curious to see what you'd offer.
Okay. So I was thinking just a meditation gathering for us, or a few more. We're nothing like official, nothing formal, but kind of just see where that goes. And then of course I can offer advanced courses and workshops if you guys want to do with me, awesome. But this other thing is pure service that we could do for the world, for each other. Okay?
Yeah.
Thinking I've always wanted to do a support group, an astrological support group that's just holding the space and bringing somehow the energy. So what comes to me is what I just said. When the moon comes to the galactic center, that may very well be, because the moon is intuition. And I think that's, and of course we do it when the sun hits it.
So I was just thinking the same thing. One for the, that's how we can, you know, hold space from all the different corners of the world or of this, you know, country that we are, because nobody's out of the country yet. But that's awesome. Like like you said, some type of intended and like the whole two or more gather thing, for meditation, and then during those lunar and solar cycles, to, you know, the thread, the, what am I saying, the support behind the scenes for the world. I appreciate that. I could get behind that.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea because like I feel like maybe I'm pulling it out of the air or something, but like there's something about the three of us, there's something about our charts, the common points. Like I really feel like we're brought together for a purpose. Like, and I mean, I was thinking, you know, is it just us doing this course, and through the course work, you know, like it brings up things, it brings questions or brings answers, or I'm reflecting on things. And, you know, like I'm thinking, is that, you know, the main gist of us coming together? But I mean, I'm convinced on a level that I know is it's almost like intentional that we are together right now. So, I mean, you know, what we do after, you know, like I never really thought about it too far or whatever, but I feel like definitely us being together. I feel like it's very intentional of the universe bringing us together. Like I really feel like we've been brought together, and it's weird looking at our charts, and I don't know, it's kind of weird how everything kind of lines up with the three of us for some reason. I don't know how to explain.
With the cards pulling, but it's almost like because it happened, it would have happened, you know, like it, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like when it's supposed, what did you say? Like the mirroring or the synergy, it was just like we came together, and of course it should be this way because we're at the right resonance. We all had the right resonance.
We're connected and we're resonating on the same frequencies.
Yes.
We're each our own person, but there's a connecting thread, and this thread is meaningful and purposeful. And there is something beyond the scope of this particular class that somehow we are meant to follow.
Mission and purpose.
Yep, there you go.
All right, well, I'm glad we brought that up. Yay. Okay, so we'll figure it out. We're gonna play it by ear.
Okay.
Oh, let me see. I'm blocking it again. I can't see. Oh, yeah. See, it's like a satellite.
Oh, yeah.
I feel that. That's why I always love this image. It just, to me, this speaks to me of the galactic center, that there's messaging coming from the other side. So let's see what I put here. Alice Bailey from Esoteric Astrology. Every time the man finds, you know, man meaning manas, meaning mind. That's what man actually means. It has nothing to do with gender. Every time the man finds himself under the influence of Sagittarius, it is with the objective of orienting himself to some new and higher objective, with the task of refocusing himself toward a higher goal, and with the unfoldment of some basic and directing purpose. These developing purposes may range all the way from purely animal desire through selfish human ambition to the struggle of the aspiring disciple or initiate in order to achieve the needed liberation towards the entire evolutionary process, which the entire evolutionary process has impelled him. So bottom line, Sagittarius is all about the evolution of consciousness. And if we tap into that, then I think we can really, really help, because I kind of feel like we must, you know, there is no other option. Whoops, what happened here? Oh no, the artwork disappeared. Wait. There, see that? You see that or not?
It's working.
Okay, when I take it off,
Awesome.
so where is your arrow pointing? The symbol of mission and purpose. So, you know, look at that from the perspective of, you know, 3D Earth, right? And that's another subject we can talk about next time. That's part of this conversation. The idea of 3D Earth versus 5D Earth, because that's what I believe is actually happening. And you can also answer this question in terms of the bigger scope, the spiritual higher purpose. And another place that we can study also is esoteric, the esoteric perspective of all these most important points in our chart later on. So global awakening is loading. What are your deepest spiritual beliefs? So there's like the core belief that you anchor your entire reality upon. Not religious, although it can be anchored in a religious philosophy, of course, a symbol, something, what one symbol, like for me as an example, it would be the pattern on the trestle board, which is, it starts off with, this is the truth about the self. All the power that ever was or will be is here now. I am a center of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. Through me, its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word, and it goes on from 0 to 10. So, you know, that becomes something that informs me as to what reality is for me. And it's not always easy to get aligned with that anchor point when we're in the midst of, like, my father, you know, or whatever it is for each of us. But it's really important to have that, so that when shit hits the fan, you know, or have a touchstone, somebody that can remind us, hey, you know, Sylvia, get back to that, because otherwise you're going to be spiraling out of control. What it may feel like is, here's that supermassive black hole, which is supposed to be empowering to me, but I'm spinning around and it's going to suck me into the darkness of nothingness, you know? So being very clear on that, what your anchor spiritual belief is. An arrow can only be shot by pulling it backward. When life is dragging you back with difficulties, just imagine that it's going to launch you into something great. So again, there's that piece from the shadow, the darkness, that liminal place of the dark, the not knowing of Scorpio, over into Sagittarius, optimism of, oh, even though this feels like shit, there's got to be a bigger meaning, a better meaning, and a better place that I'm going to be launched into. And this other one, for a seed to achieve its greatest expression, it must come completely undone. The shell cracks, its insides come out, and everything changes. To someone who doesn't understand growth, it would look like complete destruction. So that's very Scorpio. But again, there's the hope of what comes next, which is Sagittarius.
Mhm.
It looked like that last picture, if that was a woman, a scorpionic woman, she had her dress lifted, and it was like the universe spiraling in between her legs.
She's birthing a new universe, a new reality.
Yeah.
You know, the cosmic womb it is. And that's what I had called the galactic center way back in the day, the cosmic womb.
Mm.
And they lost that domain. Oh, we already went over this earlier. So the thighs, the sciatic nerve, hips, the sciatic, yeah. What else? Yeah. Basically, as you can imagine, these are the parts of the body that help us move forward. So there's necessary flexibility with the Sagittarius parts of our consciousness, that rather than getting stuck, you move forward. There's a Disney movie that I used to assign during this particular class. Oh my God, what was it? The line in the movie was keep moving forward. It was,
Yeah, the Robinsons. That's what they kept saying.
yes, that's it. The Robinsons. Keep moving forward. That's it.
And they kept saying it over and over. That was the mantra of the movie. Yep.
Yeah, I know Disney has some real bad shit in it, but there's some of it which is really good. We just saw another really nice one. I don't know if it was Disney. If Imaginary Friend, but I don't think it was Disney.
Oh, I heard of that one, but I didn't see it.
Oh, wow. It is so good. It is so good.
Okay.
Anyways, if you guys feel like watching the Robinsons, that's a good one. Okay, so dance, movement, think about how to explore, you have to be moving, you have to be particularly with the legs, moving forward. So it brings in, if you combine that with the idea of optimism, then you get this idea of joyful movement through dance. So that would be some home play, put music on that you particularly love. And of course, the hold on, let me go like this so that you can see the cartoon. Foot and mouth disease, and it's kind of like blind faith, just taking a jump in the wrong direction. Very similar in many ways to Aries, of course. So, yeah, pick one that might be related to your ninth house that you might need to clear and heal. Which one do you want to pick? Oh, let me put it back. Oh, come on, where are you? Oh, I guess
I'm gonna go with the blind faith one. Like it's almost like assuming too much without I guess really considering things.
Too much.
Like it's being like, I don't know if that's kind of Pisces there, with the blinders on sometimes, like assuming the good, why would somebody do that? Like, and just having to learn to be more practical and realistic. Well, there you go.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Sorry. What's going on? Give me 1 second, guys.
Okay.
I totally forgot to check on them. Why is this not working? I can't get it to work.
Do you need to go? Like physically go look?
No, he's in the back, but I just. Go, Dad. Okay, he's all right. All right, so blind faith, yeah, and it does feel in many ways a little bit like more Pisces, but it does also apply to Sag. So okay, I could go with that one too. All right. Ayana?
I'm trying to decide. I think let me just get clarity for both of you. What is flabbiness? Like the body flabbiness? Is that what that is? I guess I should go with that one.
You and me both.
I guess I could go with that. I could go with that one. I've been thinking a lot about, because I was like, man, I need time, because I'm like releasing some weight somehow. I don't even know, but I am not, because I'm not doing it intentionally. So then it's not tight, like I'm not toned. And so I've noticed that. And I was just like, oh, I got to start, like, I have everything to use, like have my little free weights, I have my little whatever. I was like, oh, I got to start exercising so that, it can, my skin can tighten up and the body can reconfigure itself and all the things. So I'm going to pick flabbiness.
Okay.
Flabbiness for 200, please.
But do it in, remember, but do both of you, and I'll have to also think about this. Count, like heal it by invoking whatever the opposite is. So, or not opposite, or it could be that, but it could also be by a positive aspect of Sagittarius or Jupiter. So like we talked about dance. So in other words, it has to be fun and exciting, right?
Oh, I see.
Whatever
so
we do.
The shadowy part is the flabbiness. So I need to come into the light with the positive to heal it. So like you said, like a static dance or movement or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
So not let it be a drudgery to deal with flabbiness or something that guilts you out with blind faith, you know.
Joyful movement.
Yeah, joyful movement in your case.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Hello? Yes? Yeah.
Joyful movement expansion.
Leave it and it has to be today? What do you have? I'm in class still, but I'll be done in a few minutes. Can you wait? Are you already out there? Because my dad's out looking in our car. He's being weird. All right. Okay. I love you. Bye. Okay. He's still out there. Okay. I apologize. All right.
Absolutely no problem.
Joyful movement for flabbiness, and what would be what you could invoke on the positive for blind faith, Lynn?
Well, I'm thinking really it's kind of combined with the idea of impractical is just to be a little more practical. You know, don't assume everything.
Okay, so how can we, but again, a practical way of dealing with that. Not a practical, I mean a positive way of, a joyful way of dealing with that.
Well, the only thing that's coming to my mind is to enjoy the moment with awareness.
Mm.
Okay.
Each moment can have like a joy of life, of living the moment, but to pay attention and be aware.
Okay. So a joyful presence, a joyful awareness. And in that moment, of course, you can determine if it's like, if it's a person that they deem your trust, or if, I don't know, I guess I don't know.
Like instead of assuming so much, if I took the time to be in the moment, but where it's that, I like the idea of a joyful, like it's to have fun, right? To have fun, but pay attention so that to make a better judgment on what's going on.
Uh-huh. Okay. Cool. Try to think if there's any, let me see if I want to commit to any of these that are appropriate for the moment.
Oh, the scattered. I'm
I was
gonna absorb that one too. I'm gonna absorb scattered too.
which is focused.
Yeah.
Esoterically speaking, Sagittarius is single-minded focus.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that down. Single-minded focus. That's from the esoteric perspective. Argumentative. That's mine, because my father's been triggering me and I've been arguing back with him instead of just being lovingly present, similar to Lynn, in the moment, to really tune in to what's going on under the surface and making a better decision as to how to respond instead of react.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah, I think that was
Respond instead of react.
so astro aromatherapy, the black pepper is the essential oil. So I put all this stuff in here, but I'm having trouble right now thinking. I feel scattered right now. Food, okay, so foods that are foreign in to your own culture, or of course go hot heat, exotic, spicy, hot foods. Music needs to be something inspirational that gets you moving. And the stone, it can be any one of these: amethyst, turquoise, blue topaz, lapis lazuli. There's some overlap with Pisces, because these are more Jupiterian in general. The metal is tin, and the herbs are red clover, burdock, and St. John's wort. And now we have the tarot cards. So key 14, Sagittarius, is Temperance, which is seen as the holy guardian angel, who tempers us. And another title for Temperance is art, because it is the art of reconciling opposites,
Hmm.
the process of alchemy.
Oh, like tempering chocolate.
So there's a strong connection between 13, no, I take that back, between 14 Temperance and 15 the Devil. They do work hand in hand to test and temper us. And the Devil is, key 15 Devil is Capricorn. So we've got Sagittarius and Capricorn. Anyways, there's that. And then key 10 Jupiter, Wheel of Fortune, which has to do with abundance and cycles. And of course, we see the four beings of the apocalypse and the revelations, and those are the four fixed signs, and the wheel is always turning. There's always the up and down idea of the changes and the growth that come about through the ups and downs. So I don't know if Lynn, if you want to add anything. My mind's just burnt out right now, so I can't think straight.
I like you putting in key 14, key 15, where you got, because they're very similar looking in a way. It's kind of like light and darkness. And when we're being tested by the angel, it looks like the devil, right? And the Wheel of Fortune, the four elements, like you mentioned, and just the idea of it's the direction west also. So it's like the present. It's kind of like in the moment. I find it makes me think in the moment, the now.
Yeah, that's the only place that we really have any semblance of control over our circumstances, if we are in the now, which means we would be at the center point of that wheel. And in that sense, it's very similar to the astrological symbol for the sun, with the circle and the dot in the middle. If we are anywhere on the periphery of the wheel, then we're going to be subject to the ups and downs of life, those cycles. But if we are positioned, anchored in that center, then all the ups and downs can happen, but we won't be thrown off our spiritual source. And then we can respond instead of react. So that's part of the temperance, leading back to this being tempered.
And that looks like, I don't know, I'll have to come back, like look at the video and come back. But that the symbols of the why can't I talk? The symbols of that wheel look like one of those seals, like Seal of Solomon or Seal of Jupiter or something like that. But I just can't pull it up in my mind which one that is, which is associated with something probably most likely related to the card as well.
Yep, absolutely. You got it. Yes, there are alchemical symbols on there, and they are related. You can see that as a seal. Absolutely. You're talking about the seals of Solomon and all of that.
And pinnacle seals of Jupiter's pinnacle or whatever. I can't remember all of them right now, but yes.
There's quite a bit. All right, so here are some of the moon mantras that I use, but they can be used here as well. And if any of these work for you, you could use it throughout the week to bring you back to Jupiterian vibe. I free my spirit into the cosmic field of abundant joy, laughter, and freedom. Very much. I'll leave this up so you can read them all to yourselves and pick one. going back to the idea of goals, Gemini, the opposite, is seen as a jack of all trades. So it's how does the saying go? Brain, come on, brain.
A jack of all trades, master of none, I think.
Yes, yeah, thank you. So it's basically scattering one's focus and energy because you're all over the place. But with Sagittarius, it has to overcome that and become that single-minded focus and shoot the arrow in one direction as opposed to being scattered all over the place, which comes from the Gemini weakness and karma. This I played around with graphics years ago. So this was the new moon in Sagittarius in 2012. Be worth going back in time and looking at it. But I had my husband took a picture of me in front of these two horses at an astrology convention that I went to years before. Anyways, that's what that is. So these are some of the questions that you can also include. What is the greatest vision of my life? How can I expand my consciousness to include all that is? What wisdom do I carry that I may share with others? Do I have a clear sense of my higher goals? It could be in career, relationship, spiritual, intellectual, physical, whatever area of life. Do I have powerful tools with which to travel to the furthest reaches of my higher mind? How free am I? What are my deepest held beliefs regarding my connection to God, Goddess, Spirit? Am I open to receive divine inspiration from the heart of the galaxy, cosmic womb of all that is? And that, of course, is what we just agreed to do together. And my favorite, I think this is probably one of the last. So enthusiasm is a word that I absolutely adore, and I connect with this archetype. So I had looked it up, and it comes from entheos, which is from the Greek, which means to be inspired or possessed by a god, be wrapped, be in ecstasy, divinely inspired, possessed by a god. So I love that. I love this idea that not only at the end of a solar year, which is, well, not really the calendar year, in the final season, we reach that galactic point just before the winter begins on about the 20th of December, which of course is 0 degrees of Capricorn. Just before that is when the sun hits the galactic center. And to me, that's about taking our souls and aligning them to whatever source is, which I strongly feel is right there in that galactic center point. And that we are being downloaded with new information, with new energy. We are allowing ourselves to, in a way, be possessed by the divine, you know? So just that. Okay. And the homework, mission and purpose, long distance travel, healing and teaching, your belief system, and of course the shadow. So feels like there's something missing there. No, that's all. Oh yeah, there's the little guy. So I think you have your hands full for this week in terms of home play. I think hopefully I've inspired you enough.
Yes.
Yes, it's been a very big class.
And needless to say, you bring it back to your charts, you know, bring it back to your Jupiter in Gemini, Jupiter in Virgo. See how for both of you, your Jupiter connects to your Mercury in both your charts. And explore those 9th house planets. So Ayana, the Sun, Mercury, Chiron itself, all in Taurus, and then the South Node in Aries. All that's in your 9th. So you got to tap, see what comes up for you. And then you have the sun in Pisces, and then what is that? You have one of the asteroid goddesses in there, Vesta, the Vestal Virgin. The moon and Mercury also. So, both your Jupiters not only go back to Mercury, but they go back to the 9th house. How cool is that? Holy crap.
Yeah, funny.
All right. And in your case, Ayana, you have one planet in Sagittarius, Neptune. So that's the planet of spiritual communication and the sign of the quester. Right. And for Lynn, go back to the formula that we came up with in interpretations. And I know you shared something about what may have happened in that time frame, but it was, remember, you take the degree of the midheaven, subtract that from 30 degrees, because each sign is 30 degrees. And that gives you somewhere between 19 and 21 years of age, some experience that was pivotal for you in relation to Sagittarius, but also Gemini, of course, right? So it was about your spiritual beliefs, the ideas, the information that you researched in the Gemini end of it regarding God, 12th house, or spirituality, and that you now on the Sagittarius end of it would be exploring and expanding on a daily basis through some kind of daily practice, right? And I think you shared that that's when you started questioning things and looking into alternative spiritual things to the religion you grew up with.
Yeah.
So even though you don't have Sagittarius, that doesn't mean you haven't experienced Sagittarius. Clearly you have.
Yeah.
So work with that. And Ayana, like I said, Neptune, your communication with God. Even in that, Lynn's interception is across 6 and 12. Neptune rules 12. So Neptune and Sag is so freaking wild. Man, I know we've had a contract together, and I haven't even popped in my chart to compare with both of you, but we will. What I'll do at the end is I'll put all 3 charts on a tri-wheel and see what all our connections are.
Yes, and about my other 2 children, I had to contact the hospital. Their records are archived, so I'm still getting that information. I didn't want you to think I forgot.
Oh, you know what? I don't want to forget the show and tell. My favorite part with the cards. Did you guys bring show and tell for Sag? It's just like go ahead.
Would a horse be considered, like if I had a horse thing? Okay, so I have something amazing to show you guys. It was an interesting find. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I miss those classes. I wish we could be together like I used to have my classes in person.
And how many years did you do it like that? I guess it's my way of asking how long were you in practice of, teaching, classes?
I started 2003 actively, but charging for my classes professionally. But I've been practicing astrologer longer than that. But teaching, yeah, 2003. Actually, I take that back, 2001. Anyways. Yes, you have your show and tell, Ayana. You're muted.
I had to turn off the background so you could see.
What, like a chess piece, like a gigantic chess piece, or
He
is that
looks
a toy?
like, so he looks like a gigantic chess piece, but it does look like a gigantic chess piece, which is why I got it. So I work at a storage place and they do clean outs, and they'll say, "Hey, do you want this, Ayana?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, that looks like a knife from a chessboard." So I said, "Yes."
Oh my God, I love it.
Oh, you're funny. It's nice, very nice.
I love it.
That's my show and tell.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Do you have anything for us, Lynn?
Actually, I do, because I was thinking, what could I bring? What do I have? So I went the religious route because it's what I've had. And so my grandmother gave me this rosary about a year or two before she passed. And to add a little more story to it, I had gone on a pilgrimage, right? And anyways, when I went, like sometimes what happens, I guess, is the changes color. But anyways, in the back of the cross, I don't know if you're gonna see this or not. It in the right light, you're gonna see that it's gold, but it's got a little silver patch. So it used to all be silver in the back of it, right? So that was fun. It's kind of fun, right? So anyways, I thought it was a good example for Sagittarius.
Very good.
Yes, and it also looks like the what'd you say? This, not the sword. It was maybe, is it the sword? Something like what is the tool? I know we said, say it again.
Like the cross, you mean? Like it does look like a bit like a sword.
It looks like a sword, even though I know it's a cross, but it, like especially the metal part, and I can see the little patch. It kind of reminds me of like a sword, like a knight, like a I don't
So yeah, it does look like a sword.
a little miniature sword.
Very nice. Thank you, Lynn. Okay, so for me, I brought this ID badge holder thing. I have the moon in Sagittarius, so I just realized that part. But I have the most recent cruise ship, I can't even see it. The most recent cruise ship ID tag. So, just international travel.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And then as on a vision quest or on any kind of travel, you need your backpack.
Yes.
So Sagittarius is all about the backpack, and the question, what are you going to pack in your backpack in order to go where you want to go and for what purpose? So, and I already showed you my book, which was the publishing part. And now we come to
the cards.
Which I use the excuse of Marcus's birthday to get this one. I haven't even opened it. Neither has he.
Oh my God, that's so pretty.
Nice.
Adventure Tarot.
And we never actually did it yet. So this is going to be a first. We're going to use it together.
Da, 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 da.
Adventure Tarot. So, why does the connection work? All right. So what questions do we want to get? I guess we want to know from Jupiter. Ooh, I like these. They're really for me, even though I told him when I got it for him. Look, they got beautiful matte gilded edging. I don't know if it's coming out. Okay, I need to quickly make sure that all cards are here, plus imprint them with my intention for truth, freedom, liberation, healing, art. 17. Oh, they're sticking together. Ooh, so pretty, so pretty. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Scouts. Ooh, they're called backpacker. Oh, how funny. Oh no, I can't believe she put a mask on a card. Explorers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Scout, backpacker, explorer. Go. Okay, we're all here. Perfect. So first, okay, let's to the light. All right, so what shall be our question? What can we, so Jupiter is,
Well, I wrote down one that you put, what have I come to share? Like what have I come to share? And then the other question right above it was, what chunk of wisdom can I share? Can I share with humanity? I think that's what.
all right, let's ask, okay, so through the lens of each of our Jupiter, natal Jupiter, what wisdom, let's make it, yeah, are we here to share, each of us here to share? Do you want to put a time or an overall on it? Like either in now, in this time frame, in the near future, or just overall in our lives?
I don't know. I kind of feel like now and
Yeah, now is good, I think, too.
okay.
That's why I was asking, because I'm getting like for this present at this time,
Well, we
or
agree.
maybe even this week, or before the end of the course, or just in the near future, not as a life purpose thing, but
Like maybe now, like between now and before like now and the end of the rest of 2024.
okay. So in what remains of 2024, what does each of our natal Jupiters encourage us to share as our own particular wisdom? Right? Did I get
Perfect.
that right? Okay.
That's
so
perfect.
Ayana, I'll draw for you first.
Okay.
So just you tell me when to stop shuffling.
Stop shuffling.
Okay.
And no cuts.
No cuts. So top card.
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, very cool.
Ooh.
Ace of Wands.
The wands.
Ace of Wands. There's sparks. There are a bunch of sparks.
And she has pretty nail polish on.
Oh, actually, it's a flame.
It's a
Look at
flame
that.
on her nails. Yes, the design.
On the thumb.
Yes.
That is cool. So when you look at this, you tell me what's your first impression?
Well, my very first impression was that it looked like she was holding it in her right hand. And I know the right hand is, for me, it's associated with the masculine side, the doing side, the side that goes forward. And then she's holding her stick, and I think of the stick as being, or her wand rather, and I think of the wand as being almost like a scepter, and like also a, what is it called, like a divination tool, dowsing, like a dowsing rod. So, and then of course I'm looking at, it looks like there's a horizon, like there's some, maybe she's like in the what is it called, like the desert area, so she's and for some reason it looks like I said, like looks like she's on a journey because it's outdoors. Just looks like she's in transit, like she's moving past and she's looking at a certain point and she's holding up her dowsing rod, which happens to be the wand.
So how would you relate that to wisdom? So
The wisdom that I'm to give, the wisdom that I to share with the world, how would I relate that to the wisdom?
yeah, and so that's what you'll be working on.
Yes.
And combine it with, what was your Jupiter? Was it in Gemini?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you combine it with that. Pick a couple keywords from Jupiter at the very least, a couple keywords from Gemini at the very least, and see if you can come up with a simple statement
Okay.
and relate it to this and share your wisdom for what remains of 2024.
Okay. I love it. Thank you.
And then see if you can post it or
Okay.
share it with us next week. The thing is that I don't want us to forget because this is good stuff. Hold on, let me take a picture and then put it back in the deck. Okay. Oh wait, I was gonna also, and then, okay, so actually, and then I'll post also what the book says, but wait, I hear barking.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her.
All right, do you want to pick from the universe cards, which are basically all pictures of space, okay?
Of course I do.
Or the Stargate deck,
Oh.
Oh, that's funny.
or both.
Do we have time? And do you have
good.
time?
Marcus just walked in. Marcus, yeah. I'm sorry I didn't go get you. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so Stargate. Oh, okay, so no, the universe can be, it says universe cards, personal predictions, taking you on a voyage of discovery to unlock the mysteries of the universe. So this deck is geared towards basically they're simple keywords.
I feel like that's kind of cool because, like, are the pictures of like different things of the solar system, like
yeah, like literally there's the
galaxy things? Because then it's like a second, it's like an extension of what we're already,
doing with the galactic center too. Yeah.
So what message are you receiving from the galactic center at this time in relation to the wisdom that you're sharing for the rest of
So the card that we pulled from the first deck was the now, and then this one can be the coming, like the future, like
okay,
to focus on, like what to put our attention on in the future, almost like what's it called, a past, present, and future card, except that we didn't do a past card.
So this is the wisdom you're sharing in the future.
The beyond the first card. You're right.
Okay, so this is a longer term description. How about this? This is the longer term mission.
Yes.
That you have. And that connects you to the galactic center.
I like it. I love it.
Okay. So, well, your card fell out. Okay, this is cool. So this one's called Distant Galaxies.
Intuition. Ooh.
What I love is how there are sparks coming
in the flex. Yes.
Right? So I do think that for the sake of time, I'll just read the titles, but I will take pictures and post them tomorrow. If that's okay.
When you have an opportunity.
Yes.
And then from the Stargate deck, I kind of feel that this has to do with the guides, with whatever guides.
Should the Stargate deck just be us as a group, like the group collective card, one card for the group, so that we can get to yours and Lynn's for the other two?
Yeah, let's just pull one for each of us.
Okay.
Oh, we got more. I don't know. Lynn, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna vote for each of us have a different card depending what the guide wants for each person to, and like each
Okay,
person.
so how about this then, since you feel that way, and I did too. There are two different kinds of cards in this deck.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so I will pick from the which one has more cards? Oh, this one got snuck in here. Hold on. One of them could be what Ayana, you suggested
For the group.
one, okay, and the other one will be like a guide. Remember Jupiter's guide and guru, right?
Uh-huh.
To include in the work of the first cards. And there's just a few cards in it, so there's not many. So I'm just gonna, so I'll shuffle, you tell me when to shuffle.
Now.
Okay, and give me a number, say from, I don't know how many cards there are, hold on.
3 keeps popping in my head.
Huh?
3 keeps popping in my
Okay,
head.
so the third card from the top. 1, 2, and 3. This is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Lion for you.
Bear?
It's a lion.
A lion? Oh, I was just saying, because we had the bears the last time. I'm like, what is happening?
I think I don't remember last time, but you keep getting, I thought you've had quite a few.
I have had quite a few lions and bears.
Now this one has a lion, and then there are, I don't know if you see them.
Are they like little
angels coming down to earth? You see
okay.
them?
Yes. And the heart on fire.
Yep. And more stars. Okay. So I'm going to take a picture of all three, and I'm going to see if there's a name for this little guy. But first, let me take a picture. So what is your name? I haven't pulled this deck out in ages. Emmanuel.
Oh.
I'll go ahead and read at least the first couple sentences. I, Emmanuel, am a blue angel from Sirius, the Sirius star system. I will lead you into a meditation for the healing and opening of the heart. Okay. So
That's good stuff. I like it. I love it.
For sure, for sure. Okay, now we'll put the cards back. Lynn, let's pull your Jupiter wisdom to share between now, well, for the remainder of 2024.
Now.
Okay. Cut.
Once is good.
That's pretty freaking cool too. The Justice card.
Justice.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Interesting.
So when you see this one and this particular interpretation of it, what comes to you?
Straddling two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
She's I don't know if she's trying to cross or she's like trying to manage two worlds, but then it looks like there's water in between.
Mm-hmm.
So like a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
The Rainbow Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rainbow Bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Bridge.
Interesting, very interesting.
3D Earth and 5D Earth.
If you put some glasses on her, that's you. You can see you, man.
Oh, that's funny. Cool.
All right, and now we'll pull the universe card. And what did we say the universe card was going to be? The longer
The
term.
future,
Mhm.
like from
Beyond.
to connect to the galactic center or longer mission.
Yes, mission. You guys are going to have to refresh my memory on that. Okay, so like your mission.
Now you can do just one cut.
So this is the mission in relation to, okay, star stability. See if I can get it without it shining.
Ooh.
Which is also pretty interesting because the idea of how do you cross that bridge? To be able to achieve balance and that sense of justice, you have to be pretty stable too.
I was gonna say the same thing. They complement each other.
Yeah, very interesting.
Can't wait to read the book on these. And now where did I put the third deck? Oh, here. Okay, so now the guide. So you want to give me a number also?
5.
One. First, let me shuffle it. I forgot to shuffle. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. She's beautiful. Oh, I love this one. God, I forgot all about this deck. So it almost looks like the Egyptian goddess Nut, whose body is the celestial, the sky, the stars.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's all these birds. I bet you that's Nut. And there's a blue winged and a star. Well, there's a lot.
It's like a dove. There's a lot of things happening in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Egypt. Anything Egyptian, I very much like.
Yeah. Let's see who she is. I have a feeling it's Nut. Oh, Blue Eagle. I am Blue Eagle, star priest of the ancient ones, holding the Christ-like energy of all indigenous peoples. Many of you have forgotten the old ways of harmony and balance on your planet. So there's that balance and the justice thing again, and the stability. So
Interesting.
yeah, this is very
That's incredible.
Let me picture. Put him back. Oh, okay. I guess I'll quickly do mine. I have Jupiter and Cancer in the 8th. Okay. I'm not sure what to make mine yet. Explorer of Pentacles. She is, or I am in this picture in my bathtub with herbs, plants.
In a healing bath. Yes, with all the herbs.
So for the rest of this year, I need to explore healing techniques and self-healing, starting with myself.
Yes. Put yourself in the water. Yes. Return to the womb.
Every night.
Get nurtured by Mama Water, Mama Earth. Yes.
And then this one was my mission beyond in relation to Explorer of Pentacles. Wait, from the Galactic Center. That's very appropriate. A little scary, but growth. It's Nova.
Hmm.
Growth. Oh, that one's a little. Okay.
It's not Jupiter like because it's moving outward, right? It's like Jupiter expansion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. Now my guide, I'm gonna pick 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that Ganesh? I think it is. This would be from India.
It sure is. Look at that. Obstacles, destruction, barriers gone.
Wow.
And he has friends with him. You got a little serpent there. You got the hand of Fatima on the top, protection. You got another little Ganesha head over there. I love all of that.
Oops. Okay, so what is his name? In terms of, I'm assuming it's gotta be. It is Ganesh or Ganesh. I, Ganesh, gatekeeper of all dimensions, bid you let go of the physical. Yikes. Okay. Picture me throwing stars at you as they fly by my hat. Okay, I'll read the rest later. That's
awesome.
Okay. I kind of feel like this is about definitely healing the physical as part of my purpose and mission. Okay. All right, my dears. Oh, and that's right. I almost forgot. Okay, so this would be our group mission. Is that it, Ayana?
I thought it was like our group. Yes, we did say that. The group mission, or what was the other word? And purpose.
Okay, a group mission and purpose. So one of you tell me when to stop shuffling, and the other one of you will give me a number from, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 12 cards, so a number between. Okay, so one of you, who's gonna tell me when to stop shuffling? Ayana, is your idea, huh? Well, you guys can decide. Tell me.
What would you like to do, Ayana?
I have a number in my head, so you do the
Okay.
shuffle.
All right. Okay, now.
Okey-dokey's. Number?
4.
1, 2, 3, 4. That's a beautiful. I don't know which way's up. Hold on. Which way's up? I'm not really sure. Oh, it's this one. Oh, Glastonbury tour. That's how I knew. Okay. There's Glastonbury tour, which is that sacred site in the UK.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so let's see what this one's.
That's a nice card.
Let's see. That's beautiful. Oh, look, and there's runes in its body. I don't know if you can see the runes.
Yeah, similar to that. Yep, I can see them. And stars.
Yep.
And it looks like maybe a 6-pointed star. Is it a 6-pointed star?
It's 5. It's 5 and the being in the middle.
Out.
It's going to be the UK. I know it. It has to be. Oh, yep. It says Celts and Merlin. In the Celtic tradition, the movements of the stars, sun, moon, and planets created an elaborate language. reflected in the culture's art, religion, and mythology. According to legend, spirits, part human and part angel, exist between the earth and the moon. Long before the days of King Arthur, a spirit fathered a boy named Merlin. The spiritual essence of Merlin is in the people of Celtic heritage. This stargate is about discovering the path of inner transformation and enlivening our psyches. I'm going to say that again. This stargate is about discovering the path of inner transformation and enlivening our psyches. It focuses on Merlin's energy of magic and transformation for its initiation. According to Merlin, quote, magic is the spark created from the friction of polarities that ignites transformation, end quote. In the center of this image, let me put it up. In the center of this image, so much reflection. 5 pregnant golden snakes flank Merlin. They are druid symbols of transformation. Merlin wears a cloak of magical runes, which link the natural and supernatural worlds. The landscape is Glastonbury, England, the site of the tour on the fabled island of Avalon. On the physical plane, this place has great power and activation. It is part of a vortex of energy called the mystical triangle. We're the mystical triangle.
There he goes.
The other 2 apexes are in Avebury and Stonehenge. The configuration of the zodiac in Glastonbury, outlined by old trails and earthworks, is a place to access star energies for transformation. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth's great astrologer, called this configuration Merlin's secret. So there's an activation and a meditation. The activation says transformed into. I don't know what that means. And the meditation is meditate on the sacred fires burning around your body. Allow the fire to consume your fearful thoughts for the day. Place a white star on top of your forehead. Feel the energy. So basically, there's a connection between the 3 of us to Celtic lineage, which I find fascinating. I've always been obsessed with the Grail stories, but Celts were not only of Ireland and the UK and Scotland, they actually also are in Spain and supposedly go back even to Africa. Everything comes from there. So I actually feel like the story is a lot deeper culturally.
Yeah,
and of course,
unfolding.
and then there's also the connection to Christ consciousness.
Yeah,
Because Merlin,
very interesting.
Grail.
Yes.
So I will most definitely take all the pics and send everything to you guys, okay?
That would be great. Thank you.
Yes.
Let me see, is that it? We have it? Yeah, that's it. We reached the end. Okay, my loves, my beautiful, beautiful, brilliant, illuminated and illuminating sisters.
Yes, stars, and we reflect back you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can you
Good
consider
luck.
one thing for me before both of you leave? And this not right now together, but you especially, Sylvia, since you're having to get your mind, like pull it back together with everything, managing with dad in the 8 days and all the rest of it. If you could just do like your breathing, like to cover the mouth and the nose, and just do like simple inhales, exhales through but make sure you seal it so that you're taking it in. Just slow inhale, like almost like how people do with the hyperventilation thing, like through a brown paper,
like
so that you can restore your CO2 levels, and it'll help you calm down and chill out instantly.
I didn't know that.
And then it'll help your heart rate slow, helps everything just kind of, it'll trip this parasympathetic nervous system.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's just something that if you want to put a little essential oils on there, you can do that, but you don't have to. You can just restore your levels, because that's when you start like restricting, and it's like, so if you could just like restore your own levels so that you can calm yourself, and then you can keep moving the way,
Okay.
yeah. So you're not stressing your whole system, physical, body, mental, spiritual, all that good stuff anyway.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I will do it. Definitely.
You're welcome.
All right. I love you guys. Mama.
Yes. Go
Thanks.
eat
See you next
something. I
week.
hear plates and silverware. You're missing dinner.
Marcus, I know. I guess he's up to it. All right,
Okay.
guys. Love you so much. You take care. I'll see you next week.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye-bye. Love
Bye
you too.
now.
And where's my stop?